You know that I fucking really love Oreos. You know, I always get the new flavor of Oreo. That's my shit. Basically, Oreo is to me as Mountain Dew is to you. So when new Oreo shit pops off, I go in and get the new Oreos. Dude, believe me when I tell you, the Post Malone Oreos are like, I'm not even
Post Malone
joking.
has Oreos?
Post Malone has an Oreo collab, and I'm not even joking when I tell you, it might be better than the actual Oreo.
Really? Dude,
all
that's
their
high praise.
all their new flavors are some variation of like it's peanut butter, it's toffee, it tastes like
Yeah.
birthday cake. It's all you've seen it all, you've had it all. I was like, what are these Post Malone? Because sometimes they'll fake you out and they'll do like a special Oreo, like the Star Wars Oreos that are just all. It's just the way they look. There's no special flavoring.
It's the same flavor.
It's the
just
same
like a
flavor. It's just
generic
like they're
new
like,
one.
here's a blue one for the blue lightsaber and a red one for the red light. No, the Post Malone Oreos are next level. They are. It's like one regular chocolate cookie with one white cookie, and in the middle, the cream frosting is like shortbread swirled with salted caramel with something else. And
Jesus.
when I tell you, it is not just like the best fucking custom Oreo collab they've done. It might be better than the actual fucking Oreo, the classic Oreo. It might be better. I'm not even joking.
That is a crazy claim to make, especially when it has, you know what's weird when it has like all those different features, you're like, it's probably gonna taste like shit.
Sure.
But I'll pick it up and I believe you because I think you have pretty good taste. So, by the
Dude,
way, what is your
trust me.
favorite Oreo flavor then? Out of all
It's
those
now the Post
combos?
Malone Oreo. The Post Malone Oreo is now my absolute number one favorite. Before that, it was the I like the white chocolate dipped Oreos, the limited edition that you get around the holidays. You know what I'm talking about? You're like, oh shit, yeah. See, this is real fat guy shit when you have the flavors memorized from the seasons. As a fat guy, I'm telling you and the audience, the Post Malone Oreos are not a joke. This is not some publicity stunt. I've never listened to I couldn't tell you a single Post Malone song, dude. I could tell you what he looks like, I guess.
Yeah.
I could pick him out of a Police lineup.
I think we've probably seen him in some movies we've reviewed on the show.
He in Roadhouse. We talked about the new
Yeah.
Roadhouse. He was in that, right?
That's right.
I'm gonna tell you, that fucking guy. I don't know if he's a good human being, a good musician. I have no idea, but he's a damn good Oreo maker. I'll tell you straight up. He's like the best Oreo collaborator they've ever had. Period. And this is not a bit. It's not a joke. It's the best fucking Oreo.
This is
I've
for
ever had.
real.
It's 100% for real. Believe it.
Do you have any merch with you so we can see it on the show?
I don't have merch. I have a bunch of the cookies. They're in the other room.
They're in my stomach.
They're making their way through my bowels right now.
I can show you guys in about 8 hours.
Dude, I bought,
And I'll be on the socials.
true story, I bought a pack of Post Malone Oreos like 2 days ago. Within the day, me and the producer in the booth almost finished the pack. She
Holy
loved them
shit.
so much, she went out yesterday and bought 2 more packs. Like the
Wait.
fucking packs. The fucking,
The
it's
whole,
like
you're talking about the whole
the
thing.
whole thing that's got like the 3 sleeves and shit. Dude, we have 2. My cabinet in my kitchen has a bunch of Post Malone Oreos now on the top shelf. That means you got to make a little effort to get up there. So,
Dude,
so
you're
that
gonna
way,
have you're the guy that has the Fallout shelter. All it's gonna be is
it's just Post Malone
Oreos
yeah,
and
100%.
physical media.
Dude, it'll be like a trick or treat steelbook next to a Post Malone Oreo.
You'll be the only guy with diabetes and nuclear fallout.
It's like those guys when you're like, how does that guy have a coke problem, but he got fatter? You know what I'm talking about? And they're like, usually cocaine makes people super skinny, but like when Jim Belushi or when John Belushi did it, he got fatter somehow. That doesn't make any sense. Anyway, welcome back to the Matt and Mark Movie Show. Reminder to everybody, it's fucking Billy Zane-uary. It's still Billy Zane-uary, which is our first ever themed month on the show, which means we're reviewing Billy Zane movies all month long. This week, we finally have. Last week we had Billy Zane with hair. This week, we've finally got to bald Billy Zane in Tales from the Crypt presents Demon Knight from 1995. Mark, as it is my duty, I wanted to reveal to you one Billy Zane trivia fact each episode. But I don't have just a fact this week. I have something that I texted you. And I'm gonna play it now, and I'm gonna share my screen because I want you to be able to see this. YouTube people, you'll probably be able to see this clip. I don't think they'll copyright strike any bullshit for us. But Mark, I sent Mark this clip because over the weekend I watched Tales from. I have the Scream Factory Demon Knight with the awesome slipcover and shit, and they always go. Scream Factory always goes bananas with their fucking special features, and I spent like an hour just poring over every special feature. And they have a documentary that you can watch on YouTube, of course. It's called Under Siege, the making of, which is very weird. I don't know why they didn't just save that for Under Siege, the movie. It's called Under Siege, the making of Tales of the Crypt presents Demon Knight. And this little bon mot that I observed was so good, I had to clip it and show it to Mark. Because last week, if you'll remember, we had a question. We were like, well, when exactly did Billy Zane go bald? This may answer that mystery. Let's take you back to 1995.
Nobody knew at the time that Billy Zane was bald, okay? Every movie I think he's in before Demon Knight, he has hair. So apparently Billy Zane came in to his meeting and he was bald and he had a briefcase, and he opened the briefcase and he had different wigs in there, and he said, okay, which one of these do you want me to wear for the movie? And again, nobody really knew that Billy Zane was bald at this point. And Ernest was just like, I don't want you to wear any of these things.
With the bald head, I liked the look. You know, it was clean. It just made sense for the character.
Dude. Mark,
that's crazy.
There you go. We now have confirmation that pre-Demon Knight, he was bald. So he started to go early, lost the hair, and was so used to being bald, he had a fucking briefcase of wigs.
You know what's weird? You'd figure that this story would be more out in the open. This is my first time hearing that.
Yes, and by the way, if you watch him in this documentary, and you can find it on YouTube, is Billy Zane is totally open about it. He's not like, he's not like sensitive or offended or anything by it. He will freely tell you.
He seems like a cool guy. Actually,
he does. He seems like a super cool guy. I'll tell you this, because there's some cast members who have since like gotten super famous that are in this, like Thomas Hayden Church, and they didn't bother to appear in this documentary, but fucking Billy Zane did. And that should tell you right off the bat, he's proud of the movie, and he's willing to do these fun special features for fans and shit. He's a fucking cool dude. Billy Zane, the more movies we watch with him, the more I'm like, this fucking dude is not just a great actor, he seems like a good dude. Just like a good dude. You know what I mean?
He seems like one of those actors that you wouldn't mind hanging out with.
Yes, 100%.
Like, this guy's cool. He likes what he did. He's not ashamed.
Yes.
He's got a fucking briefcase of wigs. That's some baller shit, man.
Also, if you have a briefcase of wigs, how can you really tell what's what? Because there's not much room in the briefcase. It's not like there are 4 heads that are in the briefcase that pop up like a James Bond kind of mechanical briefcase, right? You're just looking at 4 piles of hair. How do you know?
Yeah, did someone do a deep dive on this? Did he are they organized by
yes. Maybe he's got different shades.
Coordinated?
He's like, this is an autumn and this is more of a winter. He's like, am I supposed to be older or younger? Right? He can point to different shades of wig in the fucking wig case.
That actually makes him a very versatile actor because he could be a guy with long hair.
Do anything.
And he could do it instantly.
So you know what this made me think of instantly, dude? Because he was like, okay, he takes it to the Tales from the Crypt Demon Knight director, Ernest Dickerson, and he says, which wig do you want? And you heard Ernest Dickerson in that clip. He's like, I like bald. I like the look. Okay. Billy Zane did that same fucking thing, I bet, to James Cameron. And James Cameron was like, put that fucking wig on. James Cameron had it picked out. He's like, I want that one.
He's like, what is this shit?
I want the brown one.
You do not take that off.
So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. If you've been keeping score, which I'm sure all three of you have, Billy Zane was bald pre-Demon Night.
I have a question.
Yes.
When he did press stuff, did he have to use the wigs?
Oh.
Or did he go bald?
Well, maybe not. I bet initially for press, because there's a big part. His character in this movie is called the Collector. And there's a big, awesome look that he has with this cowboy hat, because he's trying to, like, imitate the cowboys that are in the area. I bet somebody might have been like, just put the fucking cowboy hat on him, because then who cares? You know, it's like kind of distracting, you know?
It added a level of suspense for me, because as the movie started, and it has an amazing opening
Is there
sequence,
hair under there?
I was like,
No hair.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, is he actually going to be bald for this, or is he going to take it off and it's going to be that luscious head of hair that he had for the Phantom? You know. So it kind of added to the viewing experience for me.
It adds to
I
the
could have
tension.
taken bets on this if I had other people around.
Dude, you would have been playing the fucking... You know how now you watch any commercial, there's all these gambling commercials now? Dude, I want people to start doing that.
365.
Yeah, dude, start making Vegas odds on, like, stupid little shit like that. Like, all right, $5 says Billy Zane's got hair underneath the cowboy hat. You know what I mean? You could rig it with movies you've already seen. You just have to pretend like you've never seen them, so then you could fucking clean up. I would do that shit in a second. I'd lie to people. I don't give a fuck. I would lie to bet that money.
You'd be a millionaire. That mansion
Like,
behind you, you'd own it.
I'd be like, $100 says he's got some
fixed up.
weird tattoos on his hand. Anybody want to take that action? Maybe he's got 7 tattoos. 7. I'm going to say 7, and I'll take 100 points on the vig on that. Matt, I thought we were just going to bet with Oreos. It was like a friend thing. No, fuck that. I want the money. You get super aggressive about it. Hey, you know what I didn't do yet? I got to do some housekeeping. Let's do some quick housekeeping before we dive in here.
Housekeeping, you want men for pillow?
You didn't think this shit was going to
Please
come
go
back.
away. Let me sleep for the love of God.
Hey, follow the Mad Mark Movie Show on all the socials. Instagram, Blue Sky, Threads. We're on YouTube. Like and subscribe there. The link is in the show notes. Each week, I'm trying to get really good about putting the video version of the episode up, so you can go there, watch me and Mark talk shop each week. You could see the actual clip that I was playing just a little bit ago. All on YouTube. While you're there, do like and subscribe. We have a voicemail, 707-948-6707. Still no voicemails.
Really?
Dude. All right. And now I want to give a quick Jeff update.
He
Dude,
died.
as you know, I texted Jeff like 14 days ago. No answer still. It's been like 2 weeks and there has been no answer from Jeff about coming onto this show.
Really?
Yes!
Wow.
I texted him January 27th to be like, hey, Jeff, do you want to come onto this show in February? We'd love to have you on. No response. Just fucking cold as
Damn.
ice.
John down, Jeff down. We got Dave. Does Dave
Maybe.
still
Well,
like
we're gonna
us?
try and get Dave on. Yeah, does Dave? Will Dave actually speak to us?
Will he show up with a briefcase full of hair?
We'll see. Dave has a wig case, dude. If that would be so fucking funny.
That'd
If
be
Dave showed up to
baller.
the show with a fucking briefcase of wigs. Which wig do you want me to have on?
And it's a cool, like, really old leather one, like something
Yeah,
that
dude.
Indiana Jones would use.
And you know what? Just like Ernest Dickerson, I would be like, I want the bald. The bald looks cool. It's a cool look.
You
Dude,
know
by
what,
the
James
way,
Cameron it?
yeah, I'm not going to James Cameron that shit. I like that one. Dude, by the way, this was not intentional. Just happened because he did the Demon Knight. He directed Demon Knight. Did you realize this is our second Ernest Dickerson movie we've covered on the show?
Shit, which one was the first one?
Our first, so Ernest Dickerson becoming a director we come back to on this show. We covered, I believe, our first retro review.
Really?
That we had the theme song and everything, Surviving the Game with Ice-T.
Oh,
Gary
shit, that's a
Busey.
good one.
Yes,
Wow.
that was Ernest Dickerson, the guy who made Demon Knight. Made
He's a
Surviving
fucking
the Game.
awesome director.
Really
Shit.
awesome director. So happy to have a second Ernest Dickerson joint on this show. Yes, but we're not talking about Surviving the Game. We've already talked about Surviving the Game. Go back and check out that episode. I do believe it's our first, I think it's the first
You gotta
retro
go
review.
Really far
You gotta go back. You gotta go back. But it's a good one. We do a lot of Gary Busey clips in that one.
That's correct. I totally forgot about that charge.
Oh, dude, we had so many Busey clips. Wait, I got.
Welcome to SeaWorld, kid.
That was one. And then we had the famous.
I can go to your mama's and start a small fire in her panties. Now, are you ready for that, Clark?
That's how Gary Busey greets you. If you see Gary Busey at like Subway, like getting a sandwich, you're like, "Oh my god, Mr. Busey, I'm a huge fan." I can go to your mama's, start a small fire in her panties. Hey, but before we talk Tales from the Crypt Demon Night, it's our brand new segment on the show. And last week we finally got some fanfare for it. And now I get to play it again. It's Show Me Your Discman. Take it away. Yes. By the way, Mark, no answer from Matthew W. The composer, he's like, he doesn't have anything to say.
Holy shit.
He like scabbed
No
and
one
crossed
likes
the
us?
picket line. He's like, just take it. He feels dirty because he gave us a track. I'm gonna pretend that he's just super busy and has not gotten back to me yet. Because he's in demand. More to come on that later.
Wow. What the fuck's going on?
Mark,
holy shit.
So it's our physical media segment, Show Me Your Discman. Mark,
Yeah.
I don't have anything to show, but you said you have something to show this week. What do you got?
I do, actually. I have a couple things to show.
Show
you
'em
know
off.
what? I'll start off with... it's going to look a little bit familiar, but... The Hitcher. I got The Hitcher.
Are you serious? What? Again? You're showing The Hitcher a second week in a row?
Yeah. I mean, I don't have much stuff. And then I also got another one.
Is this another
just a
Hitcher?
joke, yeah. I got The Hitcher. Okay, that's just a joke. I'm sorry. I only had those two because they were... But I do have one to show you guys.
Oh, God, please tell me it's a
I think you'll
third.
really like...
It's a third Hitcher? Are you
The
fucking kidding?
Okay, the joke's over now. It's getting old. You know, they say it's like... it's just 3 times is okay. So, okay, here's the next one.
Mark, what the fuck is going on?
All right, okay, now it's 4 is just too much. Okay, I'll get the other one.
Is this what is happening right now? Am I having a stroke? What is happening?
So this is what
Mark, what the fuck did you do?
These are all fucking damaged.
Are you kidding? Really?
Yeah, every single one has a fucking dent on it.
Dude.
All right, so anyway, this is what I got.
If this is a 6th Hitcher, get the fuck out of here!
I got the creator.
Oh, Mark's favorite film. Wait a minute. Was that a steal?
Yeah, you know, this is another import I got. They didn't have a steel book for the U.S. release, I think. So I had to get this. Nobody fucking watches this in the United States.
So they were like happy. They just sent it to you? They were like, just take it.
Yeah.
Just take
I had to order this from the UK to get this lovely steel book.
Wow, fuck. So let me ask you this. Clearly it's not dented or Mark would have bought 5 more copies
Dude,
of
it is fucking dented.
Why is all your shit... Is that just on the J card? That's just the J card.
It's just on that little slip thing.
Yeah, that's the J
I
card.
collect that too, goddammit.
It's just the J card. It's fine. It's just the J card.
Tune in next week where I come with...
When Mark has 5 different
6
versions of this.
of the creator.
Okay, is this your first steal? No.
No, you...
I
had
sent
gotten
you a
me
steal.
couple steals, yeah.
Do you want me to send you some steelbook protectors? I have a couple left over from when I did my collection.
Really?
You want me to send you a couple? Because they're very hard to get.
Please.
They always sell out. All right, I'm going to put some in the mail for you, and you can fucking protect your creator thing, and then buy 5 more creators and protect those too. Mark? Dude, I cannot fucking believe. Listen, people at home, I have to stress to you. Mark really did. That was not a bit. Mark really pulled out 5 different copies of The Hitcher. Fatty, chunky cases. Fat cases, dude. I can't fucking believe that. And every single one, wait a minute, every single one is equally damaged? Or are they varying
they're all
degrees
like-
of damaged?
The corners are all mushed. One of them, the book is damaged inside for absolutely no reason.
Why can't they get this right? Where's it? Oh, but it's coming
know.
from Australia, isn't it?
No, this is from Amazon.
Oh, it's sold by Amazon.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
And that's okay. So I know you and Tommy talk about, we have our little physical media thread, and it seems like Amazon sometimes forgets the slips or the, what do you call them? The J?
The J card. That's a J card. That bit that kind of goes around the front at the top. That's a J card.
You save your J cards.
I save my J cards, but I don't display them.
Yeah. Okay.
I think they look ugly, so I like to keep them. I have a special binder. This is fucking real nerd shit. I have a binder for my J cards, but they're not on the actual shelf because they're annoying. Because you know why? Unless you have protectors, when you pull them out, the J card's fucking going everywhere. Then you got to try to squeeze it back in. Inevitably, it's gonna get
and then they get mushed.
fucked up. Yeah. So I take that J card off, pop it into a sleeve, dude. That's how I told you it's hardcore nerd shit.
Holy shit,
Hardcore
dude, that's
nerd
great
shit.
though.
That was amazing, Mark. I mean, yeah, it was
I
cool.
you'd appreciate
It was cool that you had
was.
the creator, but I cannot fucking believe that there were 5. How do they fuck up 5 times? So that means you're not going to keep any of them, or you're going to keep the least damaged one?
I'm going to keep the least damaged one. I think it's too much. You know, each one is like $80.
Yeah, dude. So that's $400 of the
I can't
hitcher right there in your house. You've now spent more on the hitcher than probably the actual makers of the movie The Hitcher spent on restoring it for 4K. Mark, you should have a fucking honorary EP credit on The Hitcher for the money you have put in solely into the movie. Fucking crazy. Well, there you go.
God,
Mark, anything else? Was that it? You don't have a 6?
That's it for now. Yeah, I don't. Unfortunately, I wish I did. Actually, I would have kept going if these.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead,
though.
buddy.
No, I'll do this next week when I return these and get.
You're gonna have to show. Yeah, you're gonna have to show Tommy all 5 of those. All right, that has been this week's Show Me Your Disc Man. Theme song so nice I had to play it twice, but the composer of said theme song will not return my calls. Okay. Mark, let us commence once again. Let us gather round and re-enter Billy Zane-uary for our first proper bald Billy Zane entry. Tales from the Crypt, Demon Knight, directed by the great Ernest Dickerson. I thought I would kick this discussion off really quick. We had somebody on Instagram, one of our listeners, one of our friends of the show, reached out because I said, "Hey, we're reviewing Demon Knight." It's our buddy Patrick M, and he actually asked a question that I was like, "Oh, this might actually really be a good starting point for this." He said, "While you're on the subject, how do you feel about the other Tales from the Crypt movies?" That's Patrick M, friend of the show. So I'll tell you this. And he actually laid something on me that I did not know. I knew there were 2 Tales from the Crypt movies, Demon Knight and Bordello of Blood, both of which I've seen. But there's also a 3rd Tales from the Crypt movie that I had no idea existed. I guess it was very small and it kind of came out straight to video like years after those, called Ritual. I have not seen that one. I've heard it's very bad. He heard it's very bad, and I've been reading some things in it. It looks kind of terrible. So I can't speak to Ritual, but I can speak to Bordello of Blood, which is a really fun one. I would say that if listen, here's my problem. My problem is that to me, Demon Knight is almost like a perfect movie, in my opinion. I have a lot of fun with it, so it's hard for me to compare. I can't be like, Bordello of Blood is also a good tale, because Bordello of Blood's kind of shitty. It's a little bit shitty.
It is.
It's a little bit shitty. It's a little bit of a Skinamax movie disguised as a Tales from the Crypt movie. So it's really about TNA. It takes place at a whorehouse. It's all about vampires. And there's some cool stuff. There's some fun effects, but it's really poorly directed. It's not made very well. You can feel the cheapness in a lot of scenes. You can see the downgrade they got in casting. You know, right in Demon Knight, you've got Bill Sadler, Billy Zane, Thomas Hayden Church, Brenda Backey, CCH Pounder. Like, these are all real actors. in Bordello of Blood, you have Dennis Miller, and then Corey Feldman.
Oh wow!
So you can see
That's
the
a
step they
steep
took.
drop off.
Yeah, it takes a bit of a drop. I would say for completists and hardcore Tales from the Crypt fans only. But I'd say. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, what chronologically is the order of these? Because
So it's Demon Knight is the first. Then it's Bordello of Blood in 96. And then 10 years later or 11 years later, you get Ritual. Now, a little bit of trivia. The Frighteners, a movie that came out in 1996, started its life as a potential Tales from the Crypt movie.
Oh, wow.
So they were going to make it, and then they decided, for whatever reason, they thought it was going to be too expensive or it wasn't going to work, so they took it away, and the script was floating around, and Peter Jackson was like, fuck it, if you guys aren't going to make it into Tales from the Crypt movie, I'll take it to New Zealand, make it myself. And then he did. He had a fucking tea with a hobbit, and then he took that Frightener script and he made it himself.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
It's a damn good movie. But you could see now,
I liked Frighteners,
especially after seeing Demon Knight, Mark, you could see the parallels where you could this is you could tell the Tales from the Cryptness is on it a little bit, right?
Yeah. Even some of the set design and things they do with fabrics are kind of very similar too.
And you got that kind of gothic font, right? The kind of old-timey gothic horror stuff, the harpsichord kind of sounds, right? You got this spooky old mansion, right? So I've got a lot to say about Demon Knight, but I want to hear Mark first because he's never seen this movie. This was his first time, right? It's your first time seeing this.
It's definitely my first Tales from the Crypt property I've seen.
So you haven't seen any of the series?
No, I've not.
Oh, wow, man. The series was
I remember seeing promos for it, and I really wanted to see it, but it was kind of my house, no demons allowed.
No demons. Well, I'll tell you this. If you do get a chance, I'll give you a list of the best Tales from the Crypt episodes if you want to dive into that. Because there are some... Listen, it's a long show. It's like Twilight Zone. It's an anthology. They're not all winners. There are a few clunkers in there. But I can give you a great list of fucking the best Tales from the Crypt episodes. This is a classic Tales from the Crypt episode.
Oh yeah, please do. I'd love to see them.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun. This kind of
made me really excited to see them. I'm kind of sad to hear that the other one stinks. By the way, Bordello of Blood is not the movie that's mentioned in that end credit scene for Demon Knight, right?
No, that's dead easy. Another Tales from the Crypt movie they were gonna make and never made. No one knows what happened to it. And I think it was gonna be as a New Orleanian, this made me excited because for a time I think it was supposed to be a Tales from the Crypt movie set in New Orleans about gamblers. And I got really excited for a hot second in 1995. So I was like, Tales from the Crypt's coming to New Orleans. It's gonna be amazing. And then it never happened, and they took it away, dude.
Well, that's crazy. That was a super confident end credit scene too. They're like, and we're gonna be back.
Well, dude, because listen, you may not realize this because you weren't allowed to see it. But when this movie came out, Tales from the Crypt was crazy popular, crossover popular. A lot of people don't realize it was so popular that it had the Cryptkeeper was appearing in beer ads on commercials during Monday Night Football. There was a Saturday morning cartoon series for kids, Tales from the Cryptkeeper. Wow. Yes, which took the same anthology format, but obviously there's no titties and stuff in it. It's for kids, it's animated. But the Cryptkeeper, John Cassier, was in it as the Cryptkeeper. Wow. And every week was a scary animated story. The Cryptkeeper was a big fucking deal. And the movie was the height of his popularity. Oh shit.
Demon Knight.
Everybody was oh man, everybody loves Tales from the Crypt. The Cryptkeeper's everywhere. Let's have a fucking movie. So that's why it's such a big deal. They make such a big deal in this movie. All the wraparounds with the Cryptkeeper are about, hey, I'm going Hollywood. Hey, I directed a movie. Because at the time, it was just kind of this crazy thing. Wow, dude, the Cryptkeeper is so fucking popular. They gave him his own film. And we thought, man, they're going to be a ton of these.
That intro and outro really hyped it up as though it was this spectacle too.
Yes, totally. By the way, what did you think of those? Did you like the bookends with the Cryptkeeper?
I liked them. Yeah, I thought it was fun. It kind of, excuse me. The one thing that threw me off though is you get these kind of goofy and fun intros and outros, but the movie itself to me felt very serious.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's ultra violent. I did not expect it to be. I thought it was kind of more, like I said, this is my first foray into this property, so I actually thought it was going to be more of kind of like the more horror comedy, but this one's like straight up. It's almost like a combination between like Pumpkinhead and The Prophecy. Because
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
it's moody, it's stylish, it looks great, the effects are awesome, but it has like this tone of seriousness throughout.
Yes.
And I actually thought that I was going to be laughing, but I got really involved in the movie and I was like intrigued by the storyline, which is dope. And then you see those images of the crucifixion, and it's not done like in a half-ass way. They're done really cool in these effective vignettes, and it pops up back and forth, and it kind of adds to the lore. So it feels like
Yeah.
even though it's a small, self-contained movie almost, because it's taking place in this one location, it feels bigger than that.
Yeah,
which I really
the lore
enjoy.
for it is really cool, right? That they
Yeah.
establish that, like,
And how
basically
it
the
gets
idea is
passed
like,
on.
yes, that there's like all throughout time since the crucifixion, basically there have been demons trying to get this key, and there have been demon knights with a K who protect this relic so that it doesn't fall in the hands of demons and darkness takes over the land. And essentially the way that they do that is they supposedly have filled this relic up, this key, with the blood of Christ, like straight up off the cross. And then throughout the years, different demon knights have kind of blessed their blood and had it within the key.
So can I ask you a question? So can you fill it up with your own blood?
Well, that's what
or
she
does.
does.
It always
yeah.
have to have like a bit of? I know they fill it up with blood from other people, but does it always have to have?
I
this
personally
bit of
think there's
Christ's
like,
blood?
I think because the Christ blood is in there and it's coated the inside of it, I think no matter what, if it's fully empty, even if you refill it with just like William Sadler's blood, it's still technically a bit of the Jesus blood. Like it never ends. You know what I mean?
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, for the listeners, the key is like this vial
Yes.
of blood in like a jar, and you can use it to like seal entryways, and it
Yes.
has limited use based on the blood. So as they're sealing up entryways and finding new ones, it gets very suspenseful because they're slowly running out.
But it's
to a
not
degree where
it's
they can
not
only
impenetrable.
close one.
As we see,
Yeah.
I like that too, where it's like, oh, you think you're safe once you seal the windows and doors, but then somebody shoots a bullet through it to shoot someone, and that breaks the seal.
Yeah.
It was cool little lore like that where you're like, holy shit, like the movie's always one step ahead of you with the lore, and it makes it super intriguing. Like you start, especially like the little flashbacks, because they wisely don't show you too much. They'll be like, oh, this guy. I always forget that. I always think Bill Sadler is from World War II, but his character Breaker is actually from World War One. He's got the fucking
wow.
doughboy like uniform, and you see the like old timey like World War One cannons and shit.
Oh, see, I didn't pick up on that. That's cool.
Yeah, I always think he's like a World War II guy for some reason. I guess it's the look, like the hair, and and even like his kind of combat pants and stuff. He seems like a World War II soldier to me. But then I always forget, if you actually look at the bit where they introduce him in the flashback, it's World War One. It's like you can tell by the weapons, the helmet the other guy's wearing. You're like, fuck, he's been at this a really
that guy
long
is super
time.
old. I think they
Yes.
even mentioned that too, right? They're like, wait a minute, if that means
Yes.
you're like super fucking old.
Yes, yeah, the deputy guy is starts to realize like how old Bill Sadler is, and we should say, while all this is going on, the collector, the demonic force that wants the key, is none other than fucking Billy Zane. We'll talk about the other actors, but I wanted to pick your brain about Billy Zane in this movie. How fucking good is Billy Zane in this, dude?
He's dope. By the way, that intro throws you off too, because he kind of has like this, regardless of who he's supposed to play, he still has this angelic, clean, nice, and friendly look to him.
Yes,
That-
and he feels like a
So at the
lawman. He feels like a
beginning,
good
yeah.
guy, especially with the
I
cowboy
thought-
hat.
He was like the good guy
Yes.
at first when he first appears. And by the way, that car wreck and the explosions that happen at the beginning are top tier level.
Yeah, they're
They
great.
look great.
Oh, I'm so
So
glad you
it
liked this
definitely-
movie, dude. I
Yeah,
didn't
it-
know.
it
I
threw me
wasn't
for a
sure. I
loop.
was like, he's gonna maybe it might be too kitschy. It seems like you dialed right the fuck in, like the movie had you.
Yeah, I was in it from the beginning to the end.
Yes,
And actually,
dude.
now I'm really sad because to hear that
Look, it's
that
not
one
like
they
it's
mentioned is-
fucking dog shit. It's just like you have to really scale your expectations way back. It's not Demon Knight. It's just like, all right, they had
Yeah.
some money. They wanted to make a sequel. Here's Bordello of Blood.
But this one feels like, outside. You could have just called this Demon Knight and removed the whole Cryptkeeper thing, and it would be
Yeah.
like a to me, if you got rid of those bookends, as much as I like them, it probably would come across as a very serious horror film of that time.
Yes.
Because it is, the cinematography is very dark. It's not super bright. It's done in like all the effects are top tier. And the way it looks, it doesn't feel like B or C movie at all. This feels like a really good 90s horror action movie.
Yes.
And it has and the cast, it reflects that too. You have like Jada Pinkett's in it, CCH Pounder. By the way, I was not expecting
when CCH Pounder loses her arm.
Dude, it was so, and it's like it's so violent too.
It's crazy violent, dude. It's crazy
and it shows
violent
it too.
Yes, and
It
also,
made
by the
my
way,
arm hurt.
all awesome physical effects. But I think the optical stuff looks good too. Like when you shoot the demons in the eyes and that like green life force kind of shoots out of them. I also love that neon green glow of their blood. They have this great bit. Billy Zane is so fucking awesome in this movie, where he does his bit where he's like, "I hereby condemn this whatever it is," and he cuts
that scene is
his
fucking
palm.
dope.
Yep, and he starts throwing green blood around, and the demons grow out of the ground. It looks so fucking awesome. Like I can still picture it so clearly in my mind, and it's directed with such style, like the way he stands and the way the demons kind of rise up. This is one of those, kind of like The Crow. It's one of those like mid-90s soundtrack movies too, where it's like, you have this cool kind of gothy edge to your movie, so you have like a really aggressive soundtrack. Like that fucking Filter song.
Dude, that's what I was about to say.
It's this movie.
I
like,
love that song.
I can't hear that song without thinking of Demon Knight. Even when it's in Cable Guy, because that's a song that plays in Cable Guy when he plays basketball and he like dunks off Jack Black's back. I can only think of Demon Knight. That's the Demon Knight song.
This is not even a joke. I was listening to that song in my car before like about a week or two before you even announced that we're going to be reviewing this movie. So when it played for the intro, I was like,
"You're like,
fuck
yeah!"
And then they played that Gravediggers like 1-800-Suicide song too. It was like a nice throwback to when I remember listening to those songs for the first time, and it was like nice to relive.
This is a really solid soundtrack.
See it in like a movie.
Yeah, really solid soundtrack. Filter, I think Ministry, Pantera is on there.
Yeah.
Good shit. Dude. So again, I was watching the behind the scenes shit, and Billy Zane said something that I was like, I couldn't have put it better myself. Because they were like, well, he's talking about his character, the Collector, right? And kind of the way the movie is formatted, it's very smart. It's a chamber piece, so they're all contained into this motel while they seal up the door so the demons can't get in. And Billy Zane and his demons are constantly trying to get in. They're constantly trying to use you, kind of the devil thing, to like tempt you, to trick you, to let them in. And the way he does that is he appeals to, somebody's innermost desires. And he was talking about, at the time, he was trying to play it like a horror movie version of the genie from Aladdin. He was like, I want to be like the evil version of what Robin Williams did. So you can kind of see
That's cool.
Because he's kind of zany. Sometimes he'll say something like when he's like, well, also too, when he's like, why don't you wipe up that spot there so I can come talk to you? And like a sponge appears out of his mouth. It's very like silly and cartoony.
That threw me off, by the way, but there's something
that was
creepy
great
about it.
There's also the funny bit where like when he tries to I fucking love Dick Miller. I love Joe Dante. Murray Futterman from the Gremlins is in this movie, Dick Miller. And he plays this guy named Uncle Willie. And when he tries to get to Uncle Willie, it's like the most Tales from the Crypt thing ever. It's like he's surrounded by like 80 topless women who are like, Uncle Willie, like trying to like seduce him and give him beer.
He's almost like he's at like a tiki bar too or something.
And Billy Zane disguises himself as the bartender, and for no reason, he has like an old-timey, like a New York accent, like, come on, Uncle Willie. Like, it's fucking awesome. You could see those bits with the voices, the comedy, the cartoonishness. You're like, oh fuck, he really is. He's like the evil version of the genie in Aladdin. It's fucking
That's
awesome.
really cool. I didn't even know that, but it totally makes sense now.
Yes.
Like hearing the way he expresses himself. And by the way, really cool how he actually gets into people's head, because he's still outside.
Right.
And he can use your weak-mindedness to sort of trick you into letting him in, which is a really cool. And I like that he goes after every character too. So it's like it's weird because it's calm and it's inviting and friendly, but it's still like an assault on these people because he's trying to. I don't know. It's very creepy.
And it's also too like in the way I know he does funny voices and shit, but it's also like the smoothness of his approach. He's like a very slick, kind of skilled salesman. He makes you like him. He's very likable so that you want to trust him. You want to give over to him. And the only two people that were shown in the movie, spoiler alert, that don't fall for his shit are Jada Pinkett and Bill Sadler, who plays Breaker, the main demon knight. Dude, I also have to talk about how awesome the demons themselves look. Those are not puppets. Those are actors in costumes. That's how fucking good those
cool,
fucking those makeups are. They look fantastic.
By the way, one thing I liked too, because going back to what you said about, because you have to shoot them in the eyes, but they also do this crazy, like nothing is easy in this movie, because even though you kill them, they shoot this like neon electric beam that will launch you.
Yes.
Like that one guy gets the 3 charred marks on his chest. You know, he's kind of like the nerdy guy that wants to get with that one.
Oh yeah,
woman.
you're talking about the mailman. The guy
mailman,
who
thank
I
you.
love that reveal too, where he's like, I got fired because they said I was stealing people's mail. Can you believe that? And then later on, they go up to his room and realize he was fucking stealing all the mail.
Dude, you know what's funny? That in all those movies around the 90s, like even Jingle All the Way, they always make the postal guys insane.
Was
right?
that like a real problem during that time? Like that's
I
what I have
guess
to
so.
think. Like fucking
he has that
actually going
trunk full
postal,
of, like, yeah, I guess
Uzis and
so.
shit. Yeah. Was that had to be like a real world concern? Wait a minute, let's look that up. Were postal workers dangerous in the 90s? Right? Because the 90s movies make such a big fucking deal.
Yeah, like every postal worker's kind of like unhinged.
Okay, according to... All right, this could just be Google AI, but that's where the term going postal comes from. This phrase stems from a number of incidents in the 1980s and 90s where postal workers committed acts of violence against coworkers or the public due to extreme workplace stress and frustrations, often related to management issues.
Wow.
A spate of shootings by disgruntled postal workers became the primary way most Americans thought of the post office. Holy shit!
That's
I don't remember that
crazy.
at all. I'm
Me
surprised we
neither.
never got a I'm surprised we never got a straight up horror movie then in the 90s about like a postal worker going nuts, right? You know what I mean? If that was like
you
in
had
the
you had a
zeitgeist.
dentist, you had like all these other
Yes!
ones. Why not a postal
We had
worker?
Dr. Giggles, the dentist. No fucking crazy postman. What the fuck? And I gotta give it up too, by the way, to get back to the cast. It's a big cast. I gotta give it up too. I know we all make fun of Jada Pinkett now because of everything that happened. Funny enough, another bald person. But
Don't say that though.
in this movie, I think she's actually good. She's actually quite good. Like, if you go back to Jada Pinkett in the 90s, man, like, I don't know if you've ever seen Low Down Dirty Shame. You ever seen that?
No, I don't think so.
It's a good movie. Keenan Ivory Wayans is in it. He directed it as well. It's like a private eye movie. She's really great in that. Set It Off is another movie about
Set It Off is good.
Lady Bank Robbers. That's great. She's in that as well. She has good roles. She does good stuff. So it's just kind of
In the
crazy the way we
90s
think of her now. Yeah.
Well, in the 90s and early 2000s, I always thought she was cool. And then remember, she was in The Matrix as well in the early 2000s.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So her career was kind of like taking off. And she's awesome in this movie.
Yeah,
And
dude,
I've always liked her in movies that I've seen.
By the
during that
end, you're
time.
rooting for her because she's just like a good character. Like when
Oh, by the way,
when he does
that
the
is-
thing where he's like, "I'm gonna make you that I'm finding my replacement," you want her to be the one he picks,
Yeah.
right?
and it's cool how she defeats him too. But yeah, going back to that, I thought it was cool how it's smart how they did it, because you think she's just like the background character that helps out at the hotel and she'll like pop in every now and then. But it turns out that she's probably the most prominent character outside of the lead, because she's the next in line to take over from him.
Yes.
But you don't really understand that until the end. So it's actually it's a really cool reveal. I love that part of the story, actually.
Yeah, and she's also good too. Like they really set her up for like a great hero moment at the end when he's dancing with her and twirling her around and she's covered in the blood and he washes it off and he's like, "Why aren't you saying anything?" and she has all the fucking blood in her mouth, and she spits it in his face to fucking
But also-
nuke his ass.
You know what was cool too? Like whenever she responded, it would be like these chokes, so you could tell that she's moving around but trying not to swallow the blood.
Yes,
And I was
yes.
like, that is such a genius detail because it's through multiple cuts in multiple shots in the scene, so you sort of know what's going on, but it's a really cool detail because you know when you're getting jostled around and you're trying to keep something in, it wants to just be like, "Bleh!"
Yes, yes. Either that or imagine she accidentally swallows it. Oh, well. Everybody's dead now. The demons have taken over. Sorry.
By the way, the other cool thing about her character too is like she finds more innovative ways to use the blood. Like she covers herself.
Yeah,
in
that
it,
was great. That was great.
Which is
a little bit of
it's kind of cool.
Predator, right? Like when he covers himself in the mud so that the predator can't see him. That's kind of what I thought that was like. She's like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna pour it on me to create a protective barrier around me." I thought that was actually really smart. And then the whole standoff, the whole mano a mano that they have, where she's covered in the blood and he realizes it, and then he like wraps her up in a shower curtain and starts to wash her off. Like you could see they're evenly matched, and that's cool in the moment because they're both great characters. But then you realize how story wise, how strong her character is. She's going toe to toe with essentially the devil, and she's outsmarting him. Right?
Yeah.
It's a
like
pretty
this
fucking
complex
crazy
chess
idea.
game, you
Yes, yeah. There's
And
a
the
lot
cool
going
thing
on
is,
in this
like,
movie.
I do like that he's smart enough to wrap her in the plastic and
Yes.
wash everything. It also creates like this amazing amount of suspense because you as the audience member are like, all right, now she's wasted all this blood. It's
Right.
being
What's
washed
she gonna
off.
do?
It's like, now what?
Yeah.
So the suspense keeps building up. And that sequence from toward the end when they're battling out it's not like a quick scene. It has like, it goes through the temptation. It goes through like her plan not working. So it's always like this really nice and it's like this cat and mouse game between them. And I totally agree with you. It does feel like they're very equally matched. And it's only like a little bit that teeters it in her favor, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Because it
It's
just
like
shows how powerful that
She
guy
just
is.
got by him. Like she really
Yeah.
had to work for it. Because you're absolutely right. They feel evenly matched. And all throughout before that though, Breaker, who's the main demon knight, you always feel like he's behind. Like you never feel
Yeah.
like they're evenly matched. You're like, this guy
He's
is
always
surviving.
running away almost.
Yes. And he's always surviving by the skin of his teeth. It's always just barely. Where you're like, this guy's been doing it so long, he's fucking tired. He can't think straight. Like you could just, it's almost like
It's like he's exhausted all of his options, and now his only plan is I have to get out and
go.
help someone else become what I am, because I'm probably
Yes.
get wiped out.
Yes. And I also love the graphicness of his death too, where he's like, he sees it or she sees it as him getting eaten alive by the demons, and he's got these disgusting stomach wounds, and that's
It's
the
like
way
his
he
chest
actually
is
goes.
pulled open.
Yes. When he possesses the kid and the kid's face like elongates.
Not to interrupt you, but usually like when there's kids in movies, especially from that period, that nothing really bad happens. This kid like gets mutilated, like his face tears up.
Yeah.
That effect is crazy. And then the kid gets bigger and bigger.
Yes,
It's one of the
it looks
coolest
really fucked up
transformations,
too, yeah.
And it makes it
that's
terrifying because you know it's like no one's safe because this kid just got killed.
100%. But you're also like, oh shit, the vision was true. That is exactly the way that Breaker dies, even down to the
Yeah.
same wound, where you're like, his chest is ripped open and it's like blood flowing from the center of his chest. It's
And by the
really
way, it's
fucking
not
crazy.
like this thing where they just put a little bit of blood. You can see like the
it's a lot.
layers of skin pulled
Yes.
and like a little bit of the internal.
And he's
organ.
full of so
Oh!
much blood, she's able to go back later and refill the key.
Yeah, that's kind of funny.
Right? She's poured it all out. She's poured some in her mouth. It's empty, and then she has to refill it before she hits the road again. Another thing I want to talk to you, Mark, to tell you is that, especially as somebody who doesn't know much about Tales from the Crypt, so there's a pretty standard form that all the Tales from the Crypt episodes follow. They're always tales of comeuppance. They're always stories of somebody doing something evil and kind of getting their comeuppance. So this kind of breaks with that tradition. That was the other reason that the Tales from the Crypt movie felt so new and different, because it's a hero story. It's very much like this kind of cool lore piece of the older hero handing it off to the new hero while they defend. Like, that's not what Tales from the Crypt does. So it's just kind of crazy to see it on this scale. Now, Bordello of Blood, story-wise, is a little closer to what I think a typical Tales from the Crypt storyline is. But it's just cool, man, that this thing exists at all, and it feels just so different. And I love all the Tales of the Crypt branding on it, because to me it just kind of solidified it as this like really cool horror moment in pop culture. You know, it got its flowers, right? It gets to have this giant movie, and the movie, to my knowledge, was like a success. It was not like a runaway smash hit, but it made money.
I was just about to ask you, because it changed in, I guess, formula, did most fans like it, or was it kind of tepid?
Yeah, I think everybody was just psyched to have a big Tales from the Crypt movie. I remember begging my dad to take me to see it, because we would watch the show each week, because it always aired on Friday nights on HBO, and we would watch together. So my dad was like, my dad and I have very few things that we could talk about. One of the few things we like together is horror. We're always down to sit down and watch a horror movie. My dad loves to watch people just die, because he's a psychotic person. He's like, this is great. He's having like a great time. And I'm like, maybe you like this a little too much. But I remember begging him, because I was like, Dad, can we please go to see Tales from the Crypt Demon Knight? And I remember, because it was like all these kids wanted to go, because remember, there was like a Cryptkeeper cartoon, and it's on the show, and he's on commercials. So that it was one of those few times in the mid-90s where the theaters were being extra protective to make sure that no kids were getting
signage up?
Signage. You cannot drop. You used to be able to get dropped off by your mom and then walk right into the R-rated movie. That was not happening. It was basically like today with Terrifier, where there are people posted up outside of the screening room, like fucking keeping the little kids away. And my dad was like, I don't care, I'll see it. He was basically like doing the thing people do today. I'll watch it when it comes to video. And I was like, no, Dad, I got to see it. I want to see it. So he was like, I had to talk him into going. And I remember him taking me, and it was awesome, man. We saw it on the big screen opening weekend, and it was mobbed. It was like a ton of people there to see Tales from the Crypt Demon Knight. So I have like nothing but positive experience about it. And I had the soundtrack, I remember, on CD. It was like one of the first CDs I ever had. That was like another thing, because I was like, dope. I was 12, so I didn't have any money, And I was like, Dad, can I have the soundtrack? He's like, I already took you to the goddamn movie. Now I gotta buy the fucking CD. So I was like, I had the CD. And I'll triple down on that. This is a true story. You guys can choose to believe this or not. But I liked the Cryptkeeper so much that I remember at a local gas station, the Cryptkeeper was on this, I forget what the beer was. I think it was like Miller Lite or something. There, those flags that hang above a used car lot? So there were these flags inside of a local Time Saver, like convenience store. And they were Miller Lite flags, and they had the Cryptkeeper on them. And I was like, whoa, that's so cool. And I remember my dad, I'm not kidding, I don't know how I got them, but I remember one day he came home with the flag of the Tales from the Crypt from the gas station. And I was like, is this the one from the gas station?
Do you still have it?
I probably still have it at my dad probably still has it with all my stuff at his house. Your parents box everything up and they put it in a fucking, they fucking throw it outside shit. I had the flags, so I hung them up in my room.
Dude,
so for a long time,
that is so cool.
Yeah, dude, for a long time, I had the flag decorations, the Miller Lite Tales from the Crypt advert in my room, like hanging on my wall. So I was like a Tales from the Crypt kid. So what I'm saying is I'm biased. I can't critically review this movie because I fucking love it too much.
But you know what? I have to say that your bias is totally warranted, because it is a dope movie.
It's great, right?
It's one of the coolest. Like, I think, how would you classify it? Would you classify it as like action horror almost?
That's exactly right. Yeah,
just straight up action. I mean, horror.
It's an action horror movie because there are action beats, and it's also kind of got an action. It's got a Rio Bravo kind of thing going on. Assault on Precinct 13, right? You got all these people holed up in one location. A gang is swarming to come in. I love those kind of. I just call them Rio Bravo movies, but I love those Rio Bravo movies. And this is like a horror version of that. So you get the best of both worlds. You get the action aspect of the Rio Bravo movie with the horror of Tales from the Crypt and the physical effects and demons and people's heads and shit exploding. And you get, because it's Tales from the Crypt, you get all the boobies with Uncle Willie. Right? What's
and
not
at the
to
beginning
love?
too.
And at the very beginning. Okay, so with that part, right? That's why I thought, I was like, Mark is gonna hate. He's gonna watch this and be like, "What the fuck?" Because the first thing you see, it's like a fake scene within a scene of the Cryptkeeper directing the fake movie within the movie, and it's got intentionally bad Skinamax acting with like a big, with like a lady with big fake boobies. And she's like, oh, it's making me so hot and wet. And I was like, is Mark gonna be like, is this whole fucking movie like this, right? That's a pervert, right? And I knew right then and there, I was like, when the switch happens, Mark's either gonna be in or out. And here's the funny bit. So as kind of purposefully chintzy and cheesy as that is, with that booby lady doing that whole thing, the thing is, that's ironically done in this movie to show you the Crypt Keeper making his fake version of Tales from the Crypt. In Bordello of Blood, that's the way it actually is. That's how I would describe it.
Is the Crypt Keeper throughout Bordello of Blood, or is he
No,
just...
he's just in the beginning, I believe. I don't think he has a sign-off at the end. I think they were like, we got enough money to make one intro, and that's it. No, he introduces the movie, and then the movie plays. That's basically it. But that level of
He's like the
porn
Fathom
acting,
Events guy.
he's like the Fathom Events guy. That level of porn acting in the fake movie within the movie is the actual level of acting in Bordello of Blood, I have to say. I'm sorry to tell you.
And actually, to be honest, though, the title and what you describe it as actually sounds pretty cool. So
it's
kinda
fun.
sad
Look,
to hear that
I
it
have fun
stinks.
with it. It's a bad movie, but I have fun watching Bordello of Blood. I put it on. I'm never sad that it's on. I'm like, yeah, this is fun. Whatever.
Well, you know what? I saw that stuff more as like they're essentially controlling their own pre-show. You know, it's like this is the pre-show to get you in the mood for this pretty intense movie, and it's like now that you've sat through this very intense movie, here's a little closer to kind of like
here's a little
make
breath
you
of
little
fresh
bit
air,
happier
right?
before you wander out to the mall and get whatever food that there is at TGIF.
Before you demand your dad steal the gas station flags from the. Wait, Mark, what did you think when you were watching the intro and the booby lady came on doing the bad acting? Were you like, what the fuck?
You know what? It did throw me off.
I
was
knew
like,
it!
Oh, man. I'll be honest. I thought it was going to be some like goofy, stupid movie. You know, it was the good setup because it set up my expectations for something else. So when the movie that I actually enjoyed occurred, I was even more thrilled with it. Does that make sense?
Yes, it successfully lowered your expectations to the floor.
I mean, as a strategy, that's pretty
Great
good.
strategy,
I
actually.
assume a lot of people that like me that weren't going into it understanding what it was about may have been thrown off. But I feel as though it's like, you know, as long as the actual movie itself is dope, I don't care if like the intro and outro are
like
more
silly
goofy
or yeah.
But I mean,
Right,
at the time,
awesome.
it's also not. This is also like before I know I'm shitting on A24 as much as I love them, but this is like before the A24 horrors, so it feels like they didn't want to like. You know, it's like it's a mainstream movie. I'm assuming if it was that popular, so I
don't it's a Universal Pictures.
Yeah.
Universal.
It feels like
a big movie.
It totally makes sense for that era because it's like this is when, you know, all these people are hanging out in the theater and it's like you're going to get away from life. And
yes,
for the most part, the 90s were fun as fuck. So I don't think you would want to leave everyone with like this. CCH Powder's character has like one arm and the fucking main guy, he's dead. He got his chest ripped open.
Right.
So to like go from
this
that
little
to like,
10-year-old
that
boy
was
has
about my
no
day.
more face anymore because the demon made his head disappear. Yeah.
So I feel it's like for that era, it makes sense to have those, you know?
Oh, dude, yeah, fuck yeah. And especially, too, I feel like there was this thing like, okay, here's this thing that we know they're getting on TV every week. We have to take that and make it fitting for the big screen. So what's like some exciting, crazy shit we could do with the Crypt Keeper? He should definitely be directing a movie. It should look really big budget. We should have because that's the thing is like in the show, the Crypt Keeper is in one location. He's in the crypt. So the puppeteer can kind of move him around. That's about it. But he doesn't go to locations. His whole funny thing in the show is that he changes costume, right? If it's a Tales from the Crypt episode about golfers, he's maybe got a funny golfing hat on, the Crypt Keeper, and like a golf vest and shit. But he's not at a golf course. The movie takes it to the next level and says, fuck that. Put him in the location. Shoot this big intro where we're having him walk. We never saw him walk around. This is the first time.
And it looks good, too.
It looks awesome.
When he's moving back and forth and there's that tracking shot and they're on that massive set.
Yes.
It's pretty dope, yeah.
It looks fucking awesome. But, like, that didn't happen in the show. It was very much like, kind of like the Muppet movie, where the Muppet movie was like, let's show Kermit in full riding a bike across the screen to show people, oh shit, it's a movie. Same deal. They Kermited his ass and they were like, he's gonna walk on all fours, get off at the
That's
director's
cool.
chair and come towards the camera. That was a huge deal.
It must have been a nice surprise for the audience too. Also, it's a
hell yeah.
genius move too. Aside from it introing the movie, it also sets up your audience because they're so used to the TV version. It's like, well, it's kind of like welcoming everyone to Hollywood. And it's
Yes,
like,
yes.
this is what's going to happen. It's going to be this crazy spectacle. It's going to be bigger than the TV show. So like, it's kind of like buckle up and enjoy the ride, which is pretty dope.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking cool, Ray. Oh, I'm so glad you liked it, man.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it, dude.
Interesting
I would
bit of-
totally rewatch this again.
Oh, fuck yeah. Dude, the amount of times I've watched... It's a very rewatchable movie. Even though you know the lore, you kind of know where it's headed. You just fall into the rhythms of the movie. I glean new things every time I watch it. Like, for some reason, I totally never caught before that when Breaker is in the mine shaft with them, and he's like, can't fucking go to the mine shaft. It's a fucking bad idea. And
Yeah.
they all want to go, of course. He's got to seal the mine shaft. And then there's kind of like this cool... I had never thought of it before. I'm like, well, if you seal a doorway in a mine shaft, is it just the doorway? Technically, you're in one giant portal. So if you drop a little blood, does it seal the whole mine shaft? As we see, it doesn't. So, like, there were just cool little things. The lore is so fucking good in this that for me, I just keep thinking about it and thinking about, like, I could totally watch like a show week to week about the Demon Knights. I just think it's a really cool idea.
I would be really happy if they were
Yeah.
like, let's come back later. Jada Pinkett Smith, is she doing anything? That would be cool to see.
I think
her.
she just does like a crazy talk show on the internet now where she
So it'd be perfect. That would be so cool to have her come back and
Perfect.
she has to like pass it along to the next person. It could be
Yes.
really cool.
Yes.
I would totally see
and
that
I also
shit.
like too that you have lore for the collectors and the demons too. Like once you eradicate Billy Zane, you're like, okay, cool, it's safe. And you're like, no, they're just gonna send someone else. And we see that at the end. There's a new collector, a new guy that's waiting, and she has to seal the bus. And he's like, no,
By the
thanks,
way-
I'll get the next one.
I love that she's smart enough to do that. That was
Yes.
such a cool thing to see.
Yes.
It keeps showing that this character, even it's like this guy Breaker made the right choice. She's already
Yes.
familiar
She's
with how
thinking like
things-
a demon
yeah.
knight. She's thinking already one step ahead of the demon. Yeah. It's a fucking solid movie, man.
It's also cool how understated it is too. He's not like, he's just like, I'll wait for the next one, and he just walks.
Yes, and he waits and
into
he
the
whistles.
distance. That's kind of scary.
He walks
in itself.
and whistles the Tales from the Crypt theme song, which is pretty awesome. Also, a little trivia for you too. Speaking of movies that were supposed to be Tales from the Crypt movies that never got made. So originally they were like, okay, we're gonna do the Frighteners, we're gonna do Demon Knight, and we're gonna do Bordello of Blood. But they were gonna do Bordello of Blood, the Frighteners, and Dead Easy. But before they acquired Demon Knight to make it a Tales from the Crypt movie, they were trying to negotiate with Quentin Tarantino to get his From Dusk Till Dawn script and make From
shit.
Dusk Till Dawn the Tales from the Crypt movie. And Quentin Tarantino wanted too much money. And so that's why that
Oh man,
was just on its own. So can you imagine there is a world where Tarantino, the first fucking Tales from the Crypt movie we get isn't Demon Knight. Demon Knight actually technically would be the second movie. We would have had Dusk Till Dawn would be the first one.
Well, actually, I was going to bring up Dusk Till Dawn before you mentioned that because it almost sounds like, doesn't it sound like it took Bordello of Blood and then this movie?
Yes.
Essentially,
and kind of
'cause you have-
mashed them
you have
together.
Vampires.
Yeah,
stuck
again,
in,
it's like the Rio
and you're
Bravo
stuck
shit.
inside one. Yeah.
Yes.
It's basically the same storyline.
Yeah.
It's like cool characters trapped in a location and they either have to get out and escape or prevent all these creatures from coming
Yes.
in. It's
And you
actually a
have
really cool story.
The disgusting physical effects, right? The way the vampires look in that movie, they look all fucked up and gangly and weird shit. Yeah, dude, that was supposed to be From Dusk Till Dawn was at one time going to be a Tales from the Crypt movie.
Do you feel as though they did better on their own? Or would you
Yeah, I
rather
think
see
they-
them branded?
I mean, personally, I would have personally rather them do a Tales from the Crypt because it would have helped keep the brand alive, right? But I mean, no shade to them. For Dusk Till Dawn is a fucking fantastic movie. They went off and made a great movie.
And Frighteners is dope too.
Frighteners
so.
is great, dude. Frighteners is the
It's got.
shit.
I guess we should be happy. It's like we do have those movies. Then they just
Yeah.
don't have the intro and
It
outro,
just doesn't
you know?
have Tales from the Crypt branding, and then one day the Tales from the Crypt just kind of goes away. It's a little sad. It's a little bit sad.
That's sad.
That's the sad ending to it. See? So there you go. Mark, do you have anything else you want to say about Tales from the Crypt Demon Knight? I feel like there's so much to cover. We didn't really say much about Zane. I know we talked about his performance, but he is...
I think we did. We mentioned a little bit of lore. We kind of like talked him up. I would say because as a first-time viewer and someone who has not seen other Tales from the Crypt properties, you could just go into this movie and watch it. So I would highly recommend this movie, and I would say even if you're not familiar with the series, this could also be a great introduction, and it'll probably make you want to watch the TV show like it has for me.
Yes. And like I said, I don't mean to besmirch Bordello of Blood. I'm just saying know what you're getting into. Like, it's got porn acting in it, is what I'm saying. And it's not to be funny. That's just the acting level that we're at.
And no
movie.
Billy Zane. By the
And
way, I
no
want to
Billy.
say, as this series continues, I'm even more of a fan of Billy Zane. I think he's awesome. I like that he's done so many different projects, and it's like just
well, it was funny to see him last week as a hero.
So different. Yeah,
last week as a hero, and now this week we see him as the ultimate villain. Right? He's like basically the devil.
Well, I kind of like how we're transitioning without giving anything away. It's like, here's hero Billy Zane, and here's like friendly evil Billy Zane, and then by the way, I think he embodies that role the best because there's something inviting about the way he looks, and he doesn't feel like an unapproachable person.
Yes. Yeah. In
So
fact, he feels super approachable. He feels cool. He feels like somebody you want to talk to, and that's perfect for his character.
Yeah, so any of those temptation scenes, like, you know how sometimes you'll watch a movie and you're like, that guy's an idiot. Why is he doing that? In this movie, it feels like kind of natural. That
no, Uncle Willie, don't fall for the titties. Don't do it, man. Come on, man. Wait, is this the first movie where, like, just Billy Zane is so charming and likable, but like, I'm trying to think of another movie where the villain is almost more likable than the hero.
That's a good question, actually.
And I can't think of one off the top of my head where I can think like, man, I'm having such a good time with the only other thing I can think, and it's not like a great choice, is Assassins with Antonio Banderas and Stallone, because you have such a good time I have such a good time watching Antonio Banderas be a jerk in that movie, and you're supposed to be rooting for Stallone, but I'm rooting for Banderas the whole time.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, there's got to be a better example.
This is going to be, I don't know if this is a good example, but for me, I always was, when I would watch Blade Runner, I was always more drawn to like Roy Batty. Because if you actually look at that movie, like the Blade Runners are just straight up assassins, and the replicants are the ones that want more life, and they actually
they're fighting for. They have a real motivation to stay alive.
It's like they've been fucked over by this massive corporation with short lifespan. So for me, it's like I would rather see them succeed, and I'm more drawn toward them.
That's a good call, dude. Oh, also, your boy that we just watched his TV show, The Jackal. We were rooting for him the whole fucking season.
Yeah, that's true.
Every episode we were rooting for him.
Yeah, that's probably the best example of wanting the villain to win.
Yes, I was actively rooting against the heroes in that show. I was like, fuck these people. The Jackal works hard.
Spoiler alert, when he does, didn't that feel so good?
We cheered in my house like we were at a fucking World Cup match, Mark. We stood, dude. We stood. We were like, yeah! We were like, oh my God. I was like, our neighbors think we're maniacs right now. We were cheering for the villain.
Oh my God.
The catharsis of that moment.
Shit.
The catharsis of that moment in that show, dude. It brought us to our feet, Mark.
Dude, same here. And I was like by myself cheering.
Fucking A. That's how good that fucking moment was. Well, there you go. I mean, for me, it's a resounding recommendation as well. Demon Knight's a lot of fun. And as Mark said, it's kind of great. You get all the flavors. You get this funny, silly bookend. But then in the middle, you get like a legitimately serious action horror movie with a great fucking cast, fantastic effects, and some really cool lore that like you'll just be thinking about. Like, I also this is one of those movies where I was like, I started asking myself, almost like with the characters, I was like, well, what would I do in this situation? Like, would I have the foresight?
I'd probably be killed.
Right, like, could you resist temptation or would you give in, What if all Billy Zane would have had to do was show me the Post Malone Oreos? And I would have been like,
yeah.
I'm done.
We would all be dead in the
Dude,
house.
I'm the sucker. Uncle Willie's surrounded by 80 topless women. I get bought. My soul gets bought for a bag of Post Malone Oreos.
He's like, this is the easiest job I've ever had.
I was prepared to bring in Universal Studios and.
This is how it would go. He'd come up to you and present you with this briefcase. He'd open it up. There'd be all these wigs, and he'd part the wigs, and it would just be all these Oreos coming
the
up.
Post Malone Oreos. You've got them.
I have to ask you, where did you buy them? Are these like some Walmart exclusive?
You can go to Target. Go to Target and get your Post Malone Oreos. They're fucking amazing, dude. I'm dead serious. Now look, though. Let me give a warning to my fellow junk food enthusiasts. They were not in the cookie aisle. So if you go to the cookie aisle and you see that's where all the Oreos are, all the different flavors. Ours, not that they were hidden. They were just like, hey, here's this special display. So it was in a different spot. So when we first showed up to get more, because I was like, oh, here's where I found them. Jess was like, they're not here. I don't know what to tell you. I'm looking right at all the Oreos. I was like, I don't know what to fucking do here. We like ask people. Of course, the fucking Target people are like, no help. I don't fucking know, man. This is before I knew all the Target shit, by the way. I know people are anti-Target now. I didn't know that shit. I just went to Target because it's the store closest to my house, okay? Sue me.
And it has these Oreos.
And it has the Post Malone Oreos. I don't know what to tell you people. I'm sorry. If you don't want to go to Target, just buy them on Amazon or something. No, they probably boycott Amazon.
Is that even worth it?
Fuck. Listen,
someone on Amazon is going to be raising the price.
All right,
though.
Here's what I'm willing to do. If you don't want to shop at Target, and which is fine, I will sell you 2 Post Malone Oreos per customer, and I'm going to be charging with there's a little thing called supply and demand, and I'm going to be charging. Okay?
Did you guys buy all of them when you went?
We maybe bought 3 or 4 bags. And there were still a bunch more left, and I regret not buying those. Dude, I was like, let's just get them all. I don't care.
That's what probably, if they tasted that good, I always do. That's what I do. I'll go in and,
just
especially if
clean
it's
them out.
Limited edition, that shit lasts forever, right? There's no expiration date.
Yeah, there's all those preservatives in there. It'll last till we're all dead, and then some. After the fucking nuke goes off, the roaches are crawling around, and the one's like waiting on a Post Malone Oreo through like the radioactive waters. He's using his antennae to swim through the glowing water. So there you go, Demon Knight. Oh shit, Mark, we didn't give it. How many Zanes out of 10? How many
10.
Zanes? Yeah, 10.
Fucking
for me.
easy.
Yeah.
10. And also,
10
by the way,
Zanes.
I didn't think, I'll be honest, because I didn't do any research on the movie before I watched it because I just wanted to go in cold. I thought he was just going to be a bit character. He's like first billing and throughout the whole movie.
Oh yeah, dude. This is first and foremost, it's a straight up Billy Zane movie. There's just no
I didn't
doubt about
realize that. That's crazy to me.
It's
That's
pretty
just
cool
pretty
because like
awesome.
between this, I guess we can reveal it now. These are really the two we've covered both of the big Billy Zane movies, The Phantom and Demon Knight. This was like his time, 95 and 96. It was like, all right, these are the starring, like straight up Billy Zane marquee title movies. Yes, he has Titanic, but once you get there is when he kind of starts to disappear into a supporting kind of style.
Yeah.
You know,
As people slowly find out that he has no hair.
they're like, is that the same hair? Wait a minute. He brings his
That's
wig case.
direct to video head.
Yeah. This wig is not worth my $12 movie ticket. I'll pay
Dude, we also have to
$5
say-
for it.
His wig selection is fucking top notch.
It's phenomenal.
I
I
was
know
looking
next
for like
next
little
week when
things
we
here
see
and
him with
there.
hair again, I'm gonna miss bald Billy Zane.
Yeah.
Do we think Tommy, by the way, Tommy does not, but we should reveal this. Tommy Nuggets is going to be our guest for next week's show. And, but
can't
Tommy does not listen to this podcast. So when he comes on and we start talking about like Billy Zane facts and rating it out of Zane's and talking about Billy Zane's hair, do you think Tommy's gonna be like, what in the fuck did I agree to?
You just see him vanish.
He just vanishes. He's like, how many Zane? What? What, Matt?
What is this shit?
What is this shit? Hey, Mark, you want to do some Rex?
Yeah, let's do some Rex. How many do you got?
I have 1, 2, 3. I have 3, maybe 4.
Okay, all right.
What do you got?
I may
Yeah.
match you. I got like 4 or 5.
All right, here we go.
I'm gonna rack it, rack it, rack it, rack it, rack, rack, rack. I'm gonna rack it, rack it, rack it, rack it, rack, rack, rack.
Well, I go on facts, not recommendations, but thank you.
I can go to your mama's and start a small fire in her panties. Now, are you ready to get out of the car?
That's his intro to get you out of the car? Now, are you ready to get out of the fucking car?
No. Yeah. Now get out of the car and go to school. That's how he makes his kids leave.
I'm seeing our future, Mark. I'm seeing that in another bullshitty month later down the line, when we need another Billy Zane-uary, there might be a Gary Busey-uary.
Dude. I'm totally down for that.
Just cover random character actor movies.
If you do, please, soldier. Like my daddy
well,
used
yeah.
to say.
Hell yeah, soldier, dude. Fuck yeah. All right, Mark. I think you have maybe one more than me. So you want to start us off?
Okay. How should I? Let's see.
In any order you would like.
Okay,
order.
I'm gonna do. I saw a really dope, and I know we have a lot of friends that listen that are into stop motion. I saw this crazy Japanese movie called Junkhead. Dude, this movie is fucking nuts. I think it was made by, when you see the end credits, it's just this one guy's name over and over again, and I guess his partner that helped him out. I believe it was made by 2 people. And it's, when you see, okay, the cool thing is after the end credits, or during the end credits, they show all the sets that they built, and they're huge, and the grid system of lighting. Anyway, this movie is fucking nuts. It's not like Mad God. It has some of the aesthetics. I bet he picked up some stuff from this movie, and it influenced him because some of the creature design and the things to have. But just keep in mind that, you know how Mad God feels like it doesn't have much of a storyline, and you're just watching these horrific vignettes. This has an actual storyline, and what happens to the humans is, by the way, when you watch this movie, this is something I discovered by accident because I wasn't very familiar. They talk in this weird kind of distorted voices, but don't think that means that there's no actual dialogue. Turn on the subtitle track because they are actually saying things. And it's like weird Japanese. I think it's Japanese, but it also just sounds like its own weird language. Anyway, this movie's awesome. It's about humans have figured out how to be. They figured out longevity. I don't know if it's immortality, but the humans live on this top level, and because they live very long, that comes at the expense of they cannot reproduce. And as you go down lower and lower, I guess you see less sunlight, so the creatures just start getting weirder and weirder, almost like, you know, when you're in the ocean, the further down you go into the Marianas Trench, the weirder shit looks. So that theory is applied to this city. So the further down in level you go, the weirder creatures are, and to the degree where they don't know what sunlight is, and they have their own societies. It's fucking awesome. And it's about, so they send this one guy down, and as he's dropping down, he gets hit with a rocket launcher and his body explodes, and it's just his head falls down this shaft. And it's the journey of this human head as it's being placed into new bodies. But every time he's placed into a new body, it's like, what the fuck am I? It's terrifying psychologically. Whoa. And it's really cool. And it has a very poignant end. It's awesome.
Damn.
It's so good. It's one of the best stop motion movies
I'm into stop motion.
Seen.
I'm definitely interested in this one. I think this looks really cool.
This flew under the... I like you, love stop motion. I haven't seen as much as you, but everyone I've talked to that enjoys stop motion has not heard of this movie. And I feel as though it's like a bit more on the underground side. But
Yeah, I've never heard of this before.
I highly recommend it. It's not super long, and the aesthetics are gorgeous. The fact that it was made by so few people and they got that type of quality on screen is extremely impressive. So I'm not going to say anything more. Everything I talked about was pretty much the intro, and just to get you in the mood so you understand what the story is about, because if it does throw you right in the storyline. So you should know a little bit about it. It's very cool though.
Shit, all right.
Technically extremely impressive. It's one of those, it felt, you know what this is? This is the last thing I'll say about it. During the time when you and I first started collecting DVDs and we had just gotten out of college, you know how we were searching for weird movies and new things that got you excited about making films? This movie did that for me much later in life. That's how fucking awesome I thought this movie was.
All right, shit. Yeah, Junkhead. I'm trying to also
2017.
see if wait, so we can tell people. Hang on. Junkhead. Bear with, folks. It's available to rent, it looks like. You can also watch it for free on something called Hoopla. I don't know what that is. But you can rent it. You can watch it on Hoopla for free. So, I don't know. There you go. Junkhead. Damn. All right, first up for me, I'm going to go for a brand new movie. I went to the movies. I saw a movie called Heart Eyes, which is a brand new slasher with the guy with the literal heart-shaped eyes on his mask. You know that I love horror and I love new slashers, so I was down to go to this. And also, it was a third point in this column for this movie was that it's directed by Josh Rubin, who's a director I like quite a bit. He made Scare Me, which was a movie I think I've talked a lot about on the show, which was like a Shudder original, but it was like such a unique, weird, quiet movie about like people trying. It's just about the art of storytelling, about people trying to tell each other scary stories while they're snowed in, and the way that the movie, a lesser movie, would try to like transport you out of that location to be like, okay, they're talking about this kind of location. Let's make this. No, it keeps you in the cabin with them. You in your mind. It's all about the art of storytelling, the way that they use light and shadow, the way that someone tells a story. Scare Me is a fantastic movie, but very unique. You got to be in the mindset for it. And he also made Werewolves Within, which is fucking hilarious. It's got Sam Richardson from Tim Robinson's show. I Think You Should Leave.
I think you mentioned this one a bunch of times
great.
too.
Yeah, it's a
really
small
fun.
town, another like snowy small town movie where like it's kind of like Clue, but with werewolves. It's like one of these people is a werewolf, and it's super funny. That's kind of what Josh Rubin does. Is like he's got a real handle on horror, but his stuff has this brilliant undercurrent of humor. Like he's got really great dialogue, and there's just funny moments where you're like, what the fuck is up with this? Anyway, all that to say, those things are all present in Hard Eyes. Is it my favorite Josh Rubin movie? No, I think my favorite movie is Scare Me. I think that movie is fantastic, but Hard Eyes is fucking good. And I'm also just proud of Josh Rubin. He's like a guy that people don't know, and now he has a giant studio movie, and I was worried. I was like, okay, they took this guy and they gave him like this giant Sony Pictures movie. Like, how much of Josh Rubin is going to get distilled down into nothing? No, dude.
Oh, yeah.
It's a Josh Rubin movie. It just so happens to have a budget and is like a big ticket movie. Like, it's a big budget Josh Rubin movie. His voice is there. It's present in every scene. The fucking violence and the horror in it is really cool. Is it my favorite of the 3 movies he's made? No, but it's a lot of fun. It's a weird mashup of a romantic comedy and a slasher, and it kind of works. There are some things I had some gripes, but I just want to really be positive on it. I think if you're the least bit curious about it, definitely go give it a shot. It also
is it worth seeing in the theater, by the way?
I personally have a better time. This is bad for the movie, but like I have a better time watching slashers at home. Yeah. Because I like to have a more quiet atmosphere. Sometimes I think crowds can be distracting for slasher movies. I had a good audience for this, and they were into the movie. But you know what was weird about my audience? This is like kind of took me out of the movie a little bit. I was the only one laughing, and there are jokes.
And
like,
you're supposed to, right?
You're supposed to be laughing. There's like legitimately funny scenes. It breaks up a lot of tension. I was the only person in my audience laughing. It was like
feel awkward.
Yes, Because I was like, do people think I'm a jerk off? Or like,
I love
or all the dude, it's just me. It's dead quiet, Mark. And then a gag will happen. I'm like, ha ha!
You
And
really feel the sound reflection of the room.
My voice reverberates off the sound panels. As you could hear some guy just like eating nachos. Maybe
someone
everybody was
turns
eating.
to look at you slowly.
Everybody was looking at me in the theater like, that fucking guy laughed. That's what they were doing, Mark. They were laughing at me, Mark. They were laughing at me and not the movie.
Holy shit.
I was laughing at the movie. These fucks. Anyway, Hard Eyes. It was
Oh
fun.
my God.
I kind of can't wait to see it again, but I'm not going to pay to see it in the theater again. I'm going to watch it at home. As God intended.
It'll be interesting to contrast that experience, actually.
I want to watch it with like-minded people who also want to laugh. I don't want to watch it where I'm the only fucking person laughing in the theater.
Laughter is not something that should be an isolated incident.
No, it was so bad. That's the thing, like, it kind of started to take me out of the movie a little bit where I was like, started to realize, I was like, either they're not thinking this is funny, or I'm in one of those weird screenings where nobody wants to laugh, and I'm the asshole.
Oh,
You know
does
what I mean?
it do that thing where it makes you feel like really self-conscious and you're almost like,
Yes.
even if you want to laugh, you have to stifle it because you're
Yeah.
like, shit, I'm gonna be the only one fucking laughing.
I was by the end, I was a little nervous to laugh, and there were just like I find Josh Rubin's movies very funny. Like the guy's really smart. The comedy is just as smart as the horror. That's what I like about him. He blends the two really well, and I just find that dude funny. And like there were just moments that were genuinely funny to me. That I swear to you, man, I swear we had trailers with funny moments before where people were laughing. It's not like they don't know how to laugh. Everybody was there. Pin drop during the movie. Like, no one fucking laughing except for me. I thought it was funny.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, like I said,
hilarious.
it's not my favorite Josh Roman movie, but it was really good, entertaining, and it did a fuck of a lot better than
Apparently,
Love
it wasn't
Hurts.
the audience's favorite movie.
Not the audience's favorite movie. I felt bad for Love Hurts because there are two Valentine's-themed movies. There's Hard Eyes and Love Hurts with Ki Kwan. Everybody
That
was
one I
going to
am
see
looking
Hard
forward.
Eyes. Everybody was going to see Hard Eyes. Nobody
Really?
was seeing Love Hurts. And I asked my buddy at my local, who's an
Wow.
usher, and I said, "How's Love Hurts? Have you seen that one?" He goes, "It's not good." I said, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah, man." He's like,
Oh, man.
"You can tell." He's like, we had a bunch of people the previous night for the first showing, and nobody today.
Wow.
Word
I thought
spread
his
through my
name was
little
coming
town.
back, right?
Yeah. It's not looking good for Love
Dude,
Hurts, and the audience
with-
scores for it are really bad.
Oh, shit. That was going to be... I actually passed on Hard Eyes so I could go
You can
see
see Love.
that.
Did you see Love Hurts? No, not yet.
No, I didn't.
I've
now
heard
I think I may just wait.
Love Hurts has like a D+ audience score. It's
Okay,
like
maybe
not
I
good.
won't go.
And I've heard people complaining that there's like zero chemistry between Ki Kwan and the main lady that's in it, and they're like, "This is supposed to be a Valentine's movie."
You know, I was hoping that would kind of like relaunch his career because he had a success from...
Yeah, from Everything Everywhere All at Once. Yeah. Well, it's not over for him. He's got a lot
I think
of other
he's still
hoppers in the
beloved.
fire.
So
Yeah. I think
his next one has to be a hit or he's gone.
he's got. Next time read the fucking script then.
Yeah.
Before you sign on the dotted line, make sure that shit is worthy of you, Ki Kwan. Mark, what's next for you, buddy?
Let's see. You know what? I'll go funny. During this time, I do either one foreign film or one rewatch. So my rewatch this week was Death to Smoochie, and goddamn, Danny DeVito can fucking direct. I totally forgot because this is really old. I forgot the transition effects from scene to scene are fucking dope. Where he did like scene matching, where he kept the face and body and it would cross dissolve into the next. It was done so well. Anyway, this movie's fucking hilarious. It's really dark. Robin Williams is at his best in this movie. He has so many funny gags. I love that scene where he's dancing with the flower and just smacks into the wall. If you have not seen this movie, I'm not going to spoil too much other than to say it's a fantastic movie. It's dark. It's funny. It's sad. It's meaningful. It has so many great moments, and you will miss Robin Williams to death after you watch this.
Shit, man. I only saw this one time. I saw it I think when it originally came out, I have not watched it since, and you're making me
Well,
want to rewatch it.
Here's the thing: is you and I love that like making of behind the scenes, like the political things that happen between like production and like producers in shows.
Yeah.
This has all of that, and it's beautifully made. It's
Fuck.
seriously one of the best put together movies. I've never seen a movie that just takes advantage of the fact that it's a movie like this one does. And Danny DeVito,
He's a great
I don't know what else
director,
he's
Danny
direct- He's a
DeVito.
fucking phenomenal director.
He also
and
made
got an
he's made a
amazing
couple
visual
movies.
style.
He made Throw Mama from the Train, which is a great movie.
I've not seen that one.
And he also directed the first Matilda in 1996.
Oh, that movie's another fantastic
great movie,
visual
but you
movie,
can
yeah.
now see the impact or the impact. You can see the style, the impact. I had like a senior moment. You could see the impact, the point of impact. You could see the style, how it's similar between Matilda and Smoochie. It's like you could tell they're directed by the same person.
Matilda's a great movie, though. Now
Great fucking movie.
I'm gonna write that down. I really want to rewatch that.
This is another one you can rent pretty much everywhere.
I highly recommend it. It's, by the way, it's an extremely underrated comedy, but it's fucking awesome. If you want to see two people clash in a fun way, like, you know how we were talking about a cat and mouse and Demon Night? This is like a cat and mouse between two children's show hosts. And Robin Williams is trying to fucking wreck this guy's life. And he's so good as this desperate guy that just wants to get back in the limelight.
You are making
my
me
God.
want to rewatch this so
Dude,
bad.
Hearing myself talk about this makes
You're
me
like, I'm
wanna
watching this
rewatch
shit
it
again tonight.
It's such a good fucking movie. And no one I know has seen it. So I have no one to talk about it besides you and our lovely audience. But
I saw
it's
it
a great movie.
so long ago that I only remember Edward Norton. I remember his whole thing is that like he doesn't drink, he doesn't do drugs, and there's a whole thing where he
Yeah, he's
it's
like the
great.
straight-laced guy.
Yeah, he's like a straight guy. Yeah.
And he plays it beautifully, by the way. Everyone in this movie is awesome. Every shot in this movie is great. Every transition is beautiful.
Damn.
This, by the way, there's some really cool stop motion stuff. Another thing with stop motion, where they show the sets being built up and the impact of what happens when they get like canned and the sets just being broken down. But these aren't like tiny sets. These are fucking they built like actual gigantic children's show sets. Everything, it's like they put every dollar into this movie and it wasn't spent on any stupid shit. It was just all went into make probably one of the best comedies out there.
Damn.
Like, you know how most comedies just look like shit, or
Yeah, they're
generic?
very
It's just
plain,
like,
very generic.
We got like your traditional 3-point lighting, and it's just lock off. Dude, this is like one of the best looking comedies ever made.
Yeah, one time I feel like every Danny, because I know Matilda, I think a little better than Smoochie. And the one thing I always think about when I see Danny DeVito's movies, like his visual style, is I'm like, it reminds me a lot of what Terry Gilliam does.
Yeah.
Like with that wide angle lens where he gets like really up close with people, or there's
Yeah.
kind of that foreign film
Very
feel where there's like
saturated look.
yes, and there's also like some Dutch kind of happening sometimes with the angles or the way that he moves the camera, like these big moves. Like
Yeah,
it feels very.
They're not afraid to do non-traditional stuff.
Yes, it feels European.
Oh, here's another thing. If you like Jingle All the Way,
Great
this
movie.
has that zany insanity to it. And I think you and the producer in the booth, I don't know if she's seen it, but if you guys are looking for a fun movie night together and you just want a good laugh and you want a bit of like Robin Williams nostalgia, totally check out this movie.
Fuck yes, I am. You have now made me like I'm in. I'm gonna rewatch this week.
It was so great rewatching it. That's my last thing.
Well, next up for me is something that Mark, you recommended.
Ooh.
Mark, I finally watched Quigley Down Under based off our Phantom episode because same director, Simon Windsor, and you had sang its praises and you were like, you gotta watch the movie.
Yeah, it's that guy's best work, I think.
Dude, I'm gonna tell you something. It took me, and this is not to say that it's bad, but it was because I had like a horrific migraine last week. We had all this horrible rain where I live, and like the weather always fucks with my head. I tried to watch Quigley Down Under, and I had to turn it off because I just did not feel well. But I was so compelled, I'm not kidding, by the 10 minutes I was able to watch, that even all through the migraine time, I was like, I'm going to go back. I have to watch this movie because I was so intrigued. And just the style, the vibe, Tom Selleck, there was something about it where I was like, I felt nostalgic for it, even though I had never watched it before. It had that feeling of like, oh my God, why do I feel so familiar with this? Dude, when I finally sat down and rewatched, or like, I went back to the beginning, I'm like, nope, I want to start from frame one again. I loved this movie, Mark. I loved it. I legitimately think, I'm going to tell you something. Mark last week said something to the tune of that this is one of the best Westerns he's ever seen. And you were right, dude. It's a fantastic movie. You know what I was thinking of? It kind of reminded me, have you ever seen Crocodile Dundee?
Yeah, I have.
Okay, this movie felt like the inverse of Crocodile Dundee. So in Crocodile Dundee, a guy from Australia comes to America and has to get by in this weird country he doesn't understand with just his folksiness and his wits and his badassery. Okay, so if you sent someone, if it was like a movie exchange student program, the person who went in Crocodile Dundee's place would have been Matt Quigley. Because Matt Quigley is an American who goes to Australia, this weird fucking place, and all he has to survive is his folksiness, his wits, his badassery, and his fucking sharpshooting skills, which are amazing.
Dope-ass fucking rifle.
Amazing rifle. By the way, how nervous are you every time like he's not with the rifle, like when the bad guys take it or somebody else is holding it, you're like, is Matt Quigley gonna lose his gun?
It's like his secret weapon has been taken away from him.
It's basically like if Batman keeps losing the Batmobile. If you're like, stop giving the keys to the Batmobile to this fucking person, man, right?
But it's so cool, but it makes sense, right? Because he's so overpowered with it. It's like if he has it all the time, everyone's just fucking dead.
Another thing I appreciated about it is it had kind of in that way, there's like a blue collarness to the storytelling that I really liked, like almost like The Sting, where like you're watching The Sting, and even though it's about these like breezy professionals, there's still like blue collar guys that are trying to make it, right? Same thing with Matt Quigley.
Understated and quiet too.
Yes,
it's
but
not
like Matt Quigley is an action hero in his Western. He's the hero. He's the cowboy that we're rooting for. But there's like amazing bits where like the movie reminds you that even though he's an amazing sharpshooter and he's a guy who does the right thing, he's a human being, so he can get hurt. And the movie reminds you of this constantly. There's one amazing bit where Matt Quigley is on top of a he's trying to hide out from this posse that's after him, and they set the fucking the buildings on fire. Matt Quigley goes to the roof, and there's another building that's right next door. So Matt Quigley assumes, oh, I'm going to do the Western thing that every cowboy does. I'm going to jump from this roof to the other roof, and I'm going to make my escape. The genius of this movie is that the movie reminds you he's a human being. So when he jumps in midair, it's a fucking amazing moment. I laughed my ass off. He jumps in midair and he goes, oh shit. Because he realizes when he lands, he's going to go straight through that fucking roof and go straight down through the floor. And that's exactly what happens. And it's fucking brilliant. And if you think that that's funny or that's a cool moment, which I did, you're going to love this movie because it's loaded with moments like that are like, you're laughing with him, but you feel sorry for him. You're rooting for him. He's great, dude. He's amazing in this.
Didn't it all feel kind of like, you know how later on in the Mission Impossible series, Cruise opened himself up to like missing jumps and getting fucked up and losing certain battles. And I think it really adds to the belief, even though this crazy shit's happening and you know he's going to come out on top, it adds a level of like, oh, this guy can get injured, he could possibly die.
It's like what
the stakes
it's
are
like
really
what Jackie
high for
does
this character.
with Jackie Chan movies, right? He shows you his guy gets hurt. Right? Yeah. There's that great fight in First Strike where he's fighting with the ladder. The ladder squeezes his hands and he makes a point to show you, oh, fuck, my hands got crushed. I love First Strike.
Yeah, I love that.
But, like, that's the kind of level in Quigley Down Under where it's like, I thought I was going to see one type of Western. Oh, my God, there's so much good character work in the movie, too. Right?
Great cast.
Dude, he meets this lady called Crazy Cora who... she has like a whole PTSD thing going on. At first, I thought that character was going to be so annoying, and she wound up being just this amazing awesome little ray of light in the movie. Alan Rickman is in it as the villain. He's fantastic.
Great villain.
Dude, there's so many good... and even Mark, because I told Mark when I was watching it last week, and he was like, get ready for the sharpshooting scenes. They're like really well done. You were not kidding. I won't give any of them away. There's an amazing bit even early on where like when he first shows up to the ranch and Alan Rickman's like, all right, you say you're the best sharpshooter. Let's see. Yeah, what he does to prove that is incredible. And I will not spoil it for anybody. It's worth it.
And doesn't it feel very realistic? Like this is doable if you had like dedicated yourself to
100%.
sharpshooting.
Yes, and he also makes it a point to also say like his rifle's different. He has special ammunition that like these all come into
Dude,
play
that is
later.
so cool. I fucking love that.
Yeah, he's like he can't just use regular bullets. So like when he starts to run out of ammo, he has to like as he's on the run, he has to make plans to go to town to find a gunsmith, a guy who will make the special bullets for his special rifle. And it's fucking stressful because you're like, they're gonna kill him. It's fucking awesome. It's a great movie.
It also makes it more believable too, and it forces him to interact with more people. So
Yes.
like your universe starts to get larger and larger
Yes.
the more time you spend
And the
with him.
shit that like the bonds that he forms with the Aborigines, it's fucking awesome. Like I know last week I said The Phantom is Simon Wincer's best movie. I think his best movie is Quigley Down Under.
Oh, for 100% certain. You know what
It's
the thing is?
fantastic.
I think the problem with this movie is the title, because everyone I've recommended this to, I don't think they believe me because it just sounds like a
It sounds
goofy
weird.
movie,
Yeah,
right?
it sounds like
His name
a
sounds
comedy.
dumb in the title,
Yes.
and it sounds like it will be. I'm glad you say it's the antithesis of Crocodile Dundee, because that's more of like I'm a fun guy to hang out with it.
Yeah.
This one is just like, this kind of makes you proud to be the cool, quiet American that's just capable.
Yes.
He doesn't have to show off. He just knows his shit. He keeps his mouth shut and he helps people. It's like, that's the ultimate cool American. And it's
Yeah.
not like he's a piece of shit. It's
No,
fucking
not
great.
at all. It's a fucking great movie, and Tom Selleck's fantastic in it. I was like, I know at one point before we got Harrison Ford, he was supposed to be Indiana Jones, and you can see shades of that in this performance. Where I was like, oh, all right, you might have worked as that character, but I'm glad we got Matt Quigley. I wish we would have gotten more Matt Quigley movies.
Yeah, me too. But
Yeah.
I also, going back to your point though, I totally would have been fine with him being Indiana Jones as this more quiet,
Yes.
introspective guy.
Yes.
It's a totally different take, but it would still have worked, I feel.
Because the cockiness is still there. He's just not
Yeah.
saying it. Like, that's what's cool about him. It was
He
a
just
great
he
performance.
just has to show how awesome he is. He doesn't have to talk about how great he is. He's just
Yes.
like, by my actions, you will see how fucking dope I am.
Exactly. That was also one of my favorite bits because it was just so simple and badass. When he was like, because Alan Rickman, is like this rich baron. He puts out like an ad for a sharpshooter, and he was like, he's talking to Matt Quigley, and he's like, "Your response was very intriguing." And he pulls out what Matt Quigley sent him, and it's just a copy of Alan Rickman's ad with a circle of like 6 perfect bullet holes, and I'm talking like symmetrical circle, perfect circle of bullet holes, and it just says Matt Quigley 1,000 yards, whatever that is. And you're like,
That
oh
is
my
such
god,
a dope, right?
that is such a Chad move. It's so good. I knew
And it
from that
seems
moment
like
I was
it's
like,
like a
I'm gonna
really
love
cool-
this movie.
It was like, it just shows his level of confidence where it's
Yes.
just like, he's not bragging. He's just like, here's facts.
He's that good. He's just that good. That's the reality. It's fucking amazing, dude. It's so.
I'm so happy you
I
liked it.
loved it. I loved it. I texted Mark. I was like, I have to tell you, I watched one of your recs and I legitimately loved it. I loved it. So there you go.
By the way, I'm not trying to bug you, Matt, but if you thought that movie was good, The Professionals.
Oh, I thought you were gonna be like the Brothers Grimsby is gonna be.
No, I won't do that to you anymore. But I'm not sure, because I have to. I feel as though it's like I
Right,
have
maybe
to
that's
bounce off
next on my
The
list.
Professionals. Dude,
All right,
if you want another
Professionals.
great Western, The Professionals.
It
man.
definitely made me excited for like action westerns, where I was like, because you got the quiet western, the introspective western, the sort of sweeping western, but then you got the action western, where it's all about the shootouts, all about the badassery. It definitely whet my appetite for more of that.
Dude, The Professionals, I'm not even fucking joking. The Professionals is 4 Quigleys in one fucking movie. Except one guy's an explosives Quigley, the other guy's like he's got the original Rambo is in The Professionals.
Damn.
I'll just put it that way.
All right. Well, you've definitely. I think I would probably do Smoochie this week, but you've definitely piqued my interest to hit that. I forgot about that. Okay, Mark, what's next for you, buddy?
Okay, let's see. What should I do next? I'm gonna go. Let's see. I'm gonna go Time and Tide because you went action. Time and
yes.
Tide is the Choi Hark film from 2000s, and it's awesome. I saw this at the Asian Film Festival with my mom way back when, and I finally got a chance to rewatch it the shootouts, what the character development. This is an action movie with heart. You care about all the characters. You like their interpersonal relationships. You don't want anybody to die. It's about friendships. It's like a buddy movie,
Damn.
but from like two different sides of the you have like the good guys and the bad guys, and you don't think that these people would form bonds, but they do. So it's very like, if you like character development, this is a great but it's not just character development, and it doesn't get boring because it'll come back with some fucking insane action sequences. Talk about capable assassins. This one guy in this movie is fucking crazy what he does. And he has all the physicality, like he'll dive and then do these super fast army crawls underneath all these like chairs and then just blow someone away with his machine gun.
Damn.
And then he jumps out of a fucking window. But this is not like he jumped out of a window. The cameraman is jumping out of the window with the guy. And this is like way before like Tom Cruise is doing crazy shit and way before we had all these insane action cams. I'm telling you, I sent you and Thomas.
Yeah,
some
the
shots
clips
from
you
this
sent
movie.
us were really crazy.
Dude, this movie does it in like, but it's not done in like a hyper stylized way. It's done in this like very much of a naturally lit. The camera's shaky, but not too shaky. So it just feels extremely believable. If you're looking for a good action movie and you love Hong Kong action and you want to see something that's also doesn't gloss over the characters, please check out this movie. It's fucking dope.
Damn. All right, there you go. Time and Tide. And by the way, that is available to rent wherever. I should also say, Quigley Down Under, you can watch on Tubi for free. That's how I watched it.
There's no excuse.
No excuse. All right, next up for me, I'm in a bit of an impasse here because I want to talk about this movie, but it's going to be very hard to do that without spoiling it, and I think this is one of those movies that hinges on spoilers, so it's going to be one of those annoying reviews. You guys know I don't like found footage movies. I'm not a found footage guy. But I am a cryptid guy. I like movies with cryptids and monsters and stuff. And I kind of I was in the mood for a cryptid movie. And somebody told me, they were like, oh, have you watched this movie called Digging Up the Marrow? And I was like, no.
Well, that sounds crazy.
And I wound up catching it on fucking Tubi, of all places, of course. I did a lot of Tubi, dude. I did a lot of Tubi. I watched a movie called Digging Up the Marrow. And let me tell you, it had a lot going against it because, again, it's a found footage movie. I hate that genre. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I really like this movie a lot. It's how do I say this without spoiling it? It's very strange. It's a hybrid movie. So it's like part of it is treated like a documentary, like it's real. And then there's clearly fictional elements, but it's all supposedly happening within the world of the documentary. They're trying to sell you on this idea that it's real.
But sometimes, it's not like too cheesy where, you know how
that's the thing, is like
it kind of comes out as too...
Yeah, like sometimes
fake.
It's believable and it works, and other times the cheesiness shines through, and it's kind of like, that's the only mark I have against this movie. Because here's the plot. And this is, I won't give anything away. The basic plot of Digging Up the Marrow is that this guy fancies himself... not a monster hunter, but a guy who has really seen real cryptids. And he sends in his information to a Hollywood director, and he's like, I want you to make a movie about me, or just help get my story out there. And so they go to interview him, and through interviewing him, they realize this guy, there's something with him. They were like, he keeps going to these same spots. He says he sees monsters. Let's go find him. And I was like, oh boy, it's going to turn into one of these like Blair Witch movies where they're like following the guy around and they're going to show you something in the last 10 minutes, right? No. You begin to see things pretty much right away. And the movie sort of hinges on your how open you are to certain ideas. It's cleverly done, really cool creature design in it. The marrow is, this is not a spoiler, this is told to you right away. The marrow is essentially where the monsters live. That's what they call it. So there's a hole in the middle of this cemetery where there is no grave. And kind of similar to Nightbreed, where it's like, oh, Nightbreed is about a society of monsters that live underground. That's kind of what the Marrow is. It's like, this is like a weird documentary version if Midian was real.
Oh, that sounds cool. Is
It's
the
very
camera work
cool.
shit though, or is it?
Okay, so here's the problem.
Will it make you sick?
It will not make you sick. It's not
Okay,
shaky.
cool.
But some of the camera stuff during the day, like some of the interviews, the movie is best at night, I find. When the movie is at night and you could see some things in the dark, you're like, what the fuck is that, right? But during the day, they got to interview the guy, they interview other people, and you're like, am I watching a fucking amateur? Like
Oh, I was
you're
about
like,
to ask you.
You know
that.
what I mean? Where you're like, is this legit? And then they get to the night stuff, and you're like, oh, this is a real movie. This is real. And then the sun comes up, and you're like, God damn it. So I think your mileage will vary, but I had a really good time with it. I think if you can get over certain production speed bumps, I'll call them, you're in for a very cool monster movie that explores a lot of the same ideas that Nightbreed does. I love Nightbreed.
Oh, okay. I do too, yeah.
There's even a shout out to Nightbreed in the movie. I won't tell you what it is, but
Okay.
they definitely knew. They were like, oh, this is clearly Nightbreed.
It's like we have to acknowledge this or people will shit on us in
yes,
the heart.
there's a certain character they call out where you're like, what? Yeah.
Did we have a Kickstarter for this character?
Yeah, I think we did. I think we did, Mark. And when I heard it, I was like, what the fuck? So, Digging Up the Marrow, very cool movie. I would say watch it at night. That would be my advice. I'm still torn on the ending, which I won't give away. The movie kind of concretely tells you something, and I'm like,
Were you disappointed?
a little bit
A little?
by the ending. But
But it
going
doesn't
into
wreck
it,
anything, right?
it doesn't wreck the movie. It's just like I almost wish they had ended it like 5 minutes before where they end it.
Yeah, okay.
It's
I
one of
see
those
what you mean.
movies. I'm
Yeah.
like, if you'd have just cut here,
Yeah.
it would be perfect.
Like, no!
This guy clearly needs an editor. Like, he needs somebody to sit down and tough love him a little bit. Because he definitely, like, is sniffing his own farts. Like, this is awesome. This is awesome. You're like, okay, enough. Cut
Like, why
here.
is this scene 5 minutes long?
Yes. I'm like, we don't need to interview this person again. Right? And it's also, this is why I hate the found footage genre, is like, the makers of the movie are also characters. So, like,
Oh, no.
you get to know them and why they're making it. Why I'm like, I don't care. I want to follow the guy.
It's like, we don't need this filler.
There's a little filler. That's why it's
Here's
not.
the
It's
sound
not.
guy's life.
It's not a perfect 5-star rec for me. It's just like, if you want a pretty original monster movie, this is where I would point you. I just found out about it. So, Digging Up the Marrow is what it's called.
I'll check it out.
Yeah,
Sounds
it's on
pretty cool.
it's on Tubi for free. There you go. And I'll tell you this. I had 2 ad breaks, so it was not bad. Quigley,
Oh, that's not bad.
Quigley had like 6 ad breaks. I was
Dude,
like, what
that
the
sucks.
fuck? Yes, it would be like right, and they were not well timed. You'd be like right in the middle of like a really great scene with Matt Quigley, and then it would be like, safe flat repair, safe flat repair.
In the middle of him jumping from building to
Yep.
building.
And then it cuts back and you're like, oh! What's next for you,
I
buddy?
went to pee and I missed it.
I went to get a soup. One soup. I went to get one soup, 1 unit of soup, and this is what happens when I return. Shit. Yeah, and actually I'm looking at that's it for me.
Oh, that's it for you.
That's
Oh,
it
shit.
for me. So the rest
Okay.
of the recs are up to you, man.
Fuck. I'll do 2 quick ones then. If you liked I think you wrecked Detour on the show.
Yes.
If you like those type of movies where they're not too long and horrible shit happens to a character, and then I won't reveal anything, but I watched In a Lonely Place with Humphrey Bogart. It's on the
Oh.
Criterion channel. It's another one of those everything that could go wrong is wrong. Humphrey Bogart is the total piece of shit in this movie. He's like he's an asshole. But he's like this lovable screenwriter that's a total cunt. But they're totally setting him up to be, so you don't know if he's actually a murderer or not. And as the movie goes on, you'll see why. So don't get mad at him for being a turd. It's just like a way for you to get, a bit confused as to if he's a good guy or a bad guy, because he's like right in the middle until you find out in the end. It's I can't talk about it too much because I want to ruin it, but it's a good looking movie. Does some really cool stuff with lighting. Like, for example, he's trying to like envision this murder, and he's telling it to his friend who's the detective on the case. And because he's a writer, he gets more involved with the story, and he's like amping it up. And as he moves in to talk about this, like the lighting changes, so it's just this strip of light on his eyes, and he gets like really into telling the story. And it's kind of creepy, and you start to have doubts about what he's like as a person. So, yes, it's black and white, but they do a lot of innovative things with him moving in and out of light. It's really cool. It's a good-looking movie. So,
Damn.
I highly recommend that if you're in a black and white mood. And the other foreign film I decided to watch was Riders of Justice, which is this. I'm a huge fan of Mads Mikkelsen in non-English movies. This movie is they list it as a comedy, but the comedy's kind of thin, although it is funny when it does decide to be a comedy. It's a really good movie. I don't want to ruin it. You'll fall in love with
it's
the
on
characters.
Tubi, by the way.
Yeah. Another Tubi. Wow, we should be
It's on
sponsored by
Tubi,
Tubi,
baby.
God damn it.
Sponsored by
Everything is on
Tubi.
Tubi. But anyway, this movie is awesome. It's got pretty good ratings too, so if you're looking for something that is, I guess, generally considered a critically acclaimed movie, this is a solid choice. Yes, you'll have to read subtitles, but who gives a shit? This movie looks awesome. The action sequences are crazy. Mads Mikkelsen is essentially just a one-man killing machine in this, and he's really fucking good. He just moves like this machine, and he just takes everyone out. Don't expect him to, like, miss. He will kill everybody, and he's awesome at it. The storyline's really cool. I don't want to give away too much. I feel as though it's best to go into this movie cold and just experience it. Don't base it on genre, because it always is like, it's an action comedy drama. Don't pay attention to that shit or try to box it into any of those categories. Just fucking watch it and enjoy it.
That's one thing I like
flow
about
through.
International movies is they're never easily categorizable. Like,
yeah.
It's like, I can't ever tell you, like, oh, yeah, it fits into these little genre buckets so neatly. I'm just like, you just got to watch it, man. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah. Like I said, this one, it'll try to... I notice it's on a lot of comedy lists, and it shouldn't be.
Weird.
I'm serious. If you want to have a bad experience, go into it thinking whatever it's categorized. If you go into it thinking of it as genreless, then you'll have a really good time, and you'll be surprised by it. So yeah, don't get your expectations up for some like comedy romper fest. It's not going to be that.
Yeah, it's not You're Cordially Invited with Will Ferrell.
Yeah, I don't understand why they keep putting it on comedy lists, because this is really, it's actually quite a... Dude, I don't want to give it... By the way, that's why you should not read anything about this, because something happens in this movie that's so shocking. As the scene continued to the next two, I was just like, I could not fucking believe that happened.
Whoa.
But like I said, I went in super cold. I didn't read the synopsis, and you should not. Do not fucking read anything about this movie. Just watch it, and I guarantee you'll have a good time. It's highly rated, so don't worry. This is not one of my 5 and under recs. You know?
Cut to next week. Mark has 5 copies of Riders of Justice. He's like, this one is dented. This one has a scratch. This one fell on the ground, so now I can't own it anymore. I was eating one soup, and a drop of one soup got on it. Dude, 5 hitchers is crazy.
Oh,
is
God,
that how you're
these are
working
heavy.
out? That's how Mark's benching. He benches all the hitchers.
I benched 5 hitchers.
Dude, you should just give those... Dude, by the way, if you attend a party at Mark's house, that's like a fucking door prize. You walk in, he gives you a copy of the Hitcher. Hey, thanks for coming. What?
All my furniture's made out of boxes of Hitcher.
Mm-hmm. Yep. No toilet paper, can't wipe your ass because you got the Hitcher in there.
Yeah, it's just this book in the bathroom.
Yep, that's it. That's the only book to read. Shit,
well,
man.
I guess that's the last of my
That's it
recs,
for you. Well, next week we continue Billy Zane-uary with, we're going to reveal it just like I did last week for the fucking real ones, the people who hang out till the very end of the episode. We don't tease that shit. That's right. The true fans have to hang out to the end. And now I'm going to reveal it. We're going to talk about Dead Calm. Probably the first Billy Zane villain role ever, one of his most popular movies, co-starring Nicole Kidman and the great Sam Neill. And we're going to be reviewing that shit with Tommy Nuggets.
Yeah.
Next
Dude, this
week,
is going to be a great combo.
Billy Zane-uary, Tommy Nuggets, Dead Calm, be here. We're going to have a good time. And I can't promise, but maybe I'll have 5 Post Malone Oreos I can lift into the camera.
That definitely makes more sense. That this is kind of dumb compared to Oreos.
I just can't believe they
can't eat these.
Fucking up the shipment is what I can't believe. And I feel bad for you because you spent so much money on those. You know what will make you feel better? Spend $4 on some Post Malone Oreos.
Dude, they're only $4?
The package, whatever it is, whatever Oreos cost, I don't pay attention. But I'll tell you this.
Doritos are like $7.
If you can't find them and you need to buy them, but you can't shop at Target, I will sell to any listener. I will sell 1 Post Malone Oreo for a steal, $50, and it's yours.
Your eBay account's in the Linktree?
No, I'm not giving away any Post Malone Oreos. I will sell to a listener 1 single Post Malone Oreo, $50. $50.
Fair.
Also, we should go to Target and buy more Post Malone Oreos is really what the moral of the story is. All right, everybody. Thanks. We're out of here. Peace.
Peace.